2007 has been the summer of Porsche in the American Le Mans Series. Rising stars Romain Dumas and Timo Bernhard have led a Porsche charge that has put an end to 6 years of Audi domination. Frustration for two-time series champion Alan McNish and his Audi teammates reached its peak 2 weeks ago at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, where Porsche claimed its 6th overall win in a surprise upset.
Everybody thought Audi had the field covered with speed, but Penske wins at Road America.
Gt2 has become full-contact sports car racing as Ferrari versus Porsche and Ferrari intra-squad battles have boiled over.
Same spot. Inga does it again.
Formula One veteran Mika Salo and Brazilian sensation Jamie Mello hold a slim advantage over defending class champion Jörg Bergmeister and his Porsche teammate Johannes van Overbeek. Today, the stretch run for the American Le Mans Series begins on speed from mighty Mosport. There are so many great tracks on the American Le Mans schedule that entice the drivers, but perhaps none quickens the pulse quite like the prospect of racing at Mosport International Raceway. Welcome, everybody, to the 9th round of the American Le Mans Series, the Grand Prix of Mosport. And it's time for the Acura Pre-Race Show. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by former Atlantic champion and winner here at Mosport, Calvin Fish. And when you wonder about the significance of the pendulum swing to Porsche, we'll take a look. From 2000 to 2006, Audi won overall 81% of the races they ran. This year, it has dropped to 25%. And Calvin, when you think about what happened at Road America, the folks at Audi must think there's a serious disturbance in the force.
Absolutely. It's been a very tough summer for Audi, but when they went to Road America, they felt this was a track that would suit their car. They started well on the pole, leading early, and Alan McNish suffered this tire failure. He got the car to the pit lane. The boys did a great job getting him back out quickly, but this is the critical and final pit stop. Because of that tire failure, safety concerns about the tires, they decided not to double stint Dindo, and he went out of his pit lane, but meanwhile, Timo Bernhard flashes by and takes the lead in the Penske Porsche. Dindo wasn't done. He had a fast race car. He's duking it out with his teammate, Emanuele Pirro. Yes, he got the class victory, but dicing it that way left he and Alan McNish frustrated once again. They haven't got an overall victory since way back in March, Greg.
Now, Mosport is a track that has been kind to Audi. The R10 won here last year. Now, down at pit lane, we have two of the most informed and perhaps opinionated pit reporters on the planet. Let's find out what they think. First, Andrew Marriott, what's your take?
Here's an opinion. I think Audi are going to win this one. They do have reasons to be cheerful. Here they have two 07 cars that have been flown in separately, especially I should say from Germany, and they've only run 06 cars here before, and the new cars are a little bit quicker. Think about their power. This is the second fastest track on the ALMS schedule. They do have power and torque, and that gave them pole position. And look at it historically. Penske Porsche have never done well here, so I'm going for Audi. I expect Brian disagrees.
Well, that's right, Andrew. I'll give you that the Penske Porsches won at Road America with a little good fortune, but here that lightweight P2 car is going to be flying in the transitions between turn 1 and turn 5. That lightweight is going to help in the braking zone as well, and with tire wear. And you talk about lightweight tires and wheel combinations, that's going to help the crew on pit stops as opposed to those heavier tires and wheels on the P1 car. This race could very easily be won and lost on pit stops. My money, right here on yellow.
Well, and that leads nicely into our Lowe's storylines, and of course you've got to focus on the success this season of Porsche.
Well, Porsche have the big momentum. They've got 7 class victories, 6 consecutive overall, and this makes you wonder, has Audi's spirit been broken? Certainly experience will tell here today. And Ronnie Fellows, well, he's back behind the wheel of a Corvette, but is this his final race here at Mosport? Certainly the Canadian fans hope that is not the case.
Well, he insists he is not retiring, but Corvette has added a 3rd car for him. You can see it's the white car of the limited edition Ron Fellow Street Corvette. Earlier we asked him, what does it mean to race in front of these great fans?
Yeah, this one is special because it's a home track, and we're here with the white car with the red stripes. It's very cool. And certainly we have more races behind us than in front of us, so we're going to cherish them all, and especially this one in front of the home crowd.
Well, and they're certainly going to enjoy watching them run. Now it's time to meet the top qualifiers in each of the 4 classes in the American Le Mans Series with our Klein Tools starting grid. Here they are.
I'm Dindo Capello from Santo Stefano Belvo, Piemonte, Italy.
Alan McNish from Dumfries in Scotland.
Hello, I'm Romain Dumas. I am from ALMS in south of France.
Hi, I'm Timo Bernhard. I'm born in Hamburg, Germany.
Hi, I'm Oliver Gavin from Yardley Hastings, England.
I'm Olivier Beretta from Monaco, Monte Carlo.
Hi, I'm Mika Salo from Helsinki, Finland, currently living in Monaco.
I'm Jaime Melo from Brazil.
And we have some great onboard looks for you, and actually you can enhance that onboard experience by going with Speed Onboard Pass, because it puts you not only just watching, but it puts you literally behind the wheel of the American Le Mans Series. So don't just watch the race, get in the driver's seat and take a great thrill ride with Speed Onboard Pass. Log on to speedtv.com now and get your free onboard pass by Acura. And the field going up this long, winding Mario Andretti straightaway in Calvin. This is the first time in a few races we've had split front rows, if you will. It's either been Audi at the front at Road America, or previously it's been Porsches. This is split. Could be interesting.
It really could. I mean, you've got the Audis on the inside there. Capello's going to be followed by Emanuele Pirro, so I'm sure they've discussed what they want to do at the start, but we certainly expect that high torque on those Audis to take off from these lighter-weight LMP2 machines.
And turn 1, 2, all the way to 3 here, so dicey and not a lot of room to go side by side. This should be pretty interesting. Now, Penske, they've been doing some interesting things to be able to stretch fuel and stuff. They didn't start their cars until they rolled off. Others sat there idling. They're doing everything.
Well, again, the attention to detail. They fire the cars up, they get a signal to do that, and the Penske boys just waited. So those precious seconds where the engine not running may have saved them half a liter of fuel, something like that. It all counts at the end of the day.
Well, the pace car making its way in at the pit entrance at turn 10, and here we go. Capello leading them out, and there's the green, and it went kind of early, and look at the move. Pirro immediately goes to protect, and that is exactly right, and a great start for the Andretti green car.
Franchitti there again doing a dynamite start, and he split the two Penske Porsches, but meanwhile, the two Audis out front.
Over the rise and down into 2, the exit speeds there, huge. Bit of a breathe into 3, and a brilliant start by, Franchitti splitting those two Penske Porsches. Boy, that's a great start. That car's been fast all weekend long.
It has, but look at Franchitti. He's starting to put the pressure there on Romain Dumas, who's the driver of the number 7. Meanwhile, the two Audis look like Pirro was going to jump Capello, but he got back on the gas pedal. Capello out front looking for his 4th victory here at Mosport.
Just climbing all the way from turn 5 up to turn 8. Hop over the rise here. That's a great shot. And this is a very quick entry.
And look how the Audi stretch it out down that long back straightaway. This is the type of circuit that really suits the Audi. Road America was one. They didn't get the job done there. They're trying to rebound here. They have to break the momentum that Porsche has.
You've got to believe the Audis, Cal, are just going to throw everything at it early here to build their margins. They said that those long yellows at Road America didn't help either, because they couldn't build a margin that they would then give up maybe with a little bit longer pit stop. So they're going after it, and Capello has been nothing short of brilliant.
Guys, I talked to Dindo Capello before the race, and he said we're good through 1 through 5. That's okay, but that slow turn 6 onto the back straightaway really holds us up in the car right now. Not good through 8 through 10. The Porsche seemed to have the legs on us there, but he did smile when we talked about that long back straightaway. So diesel power is going to get him down there a lot faster than the Porsches can.
What Dindo's talking about there, Greg, is the fact through 9 and 10 is that transitional area, the slower speed. That's where that high weight of the Audi doesn't come into play. It's a deficiency.
Here we're going to hop on board and check out what's going on at GT2. Mika Salo is in the lead in the number 62 Risi Ferrari, and he's got his teammate Hillary right behind him. And then it's the first of the Porsches, and it's Hensler in the number 71 Tafel engines. And here is Salo, and again, making that long run up the straight here. And boy, Hensler is staying right there. He got in front of the Peterson White Lightning Ferrari.
Hensler's had a great start here. He's got around Dirk Müller, who's the driver in the 31 machine, the White Lightning car. So this is what they need. Now he puts the pressure on. Looks to the inside of the Ferrari. Not enough top speed, though.
Beating it through turn 8, now into 9.
This is where you really float the car. It's a great section of the racetrack. It's a little bit slower, about 80, 90 miles an hour through there, but still really a driver's circuit, this one.
So Salo continues to lead in the GT2 category with his teammate behind him, Hensler, then Mueller right now. And then it is the top for Panos running in the 5th spot right now. So there is your top 5 in the GT2 category here early in the going at the Grand Prix of Mosport. coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. By Just for Men. Stay in the game with Just for Men hair color. And by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil. And welcome back, everybody. Now, earlier we talked about how daunting this track is. Well, Calvin, tell us a little bit more with the Acura Track Map.
Well, Mosport Park is all about the fear factor. This place is just spectacular, and it has a little of everything. Just under 2.5 miles, huge elevation change, quite narrow in spots, and also bumpy. The only slow corner is right here, Moss. Then it gets very technical, that rhythm section we were looking at just a short while ago. But the rest of it is plain scary. This one is scary. This one down here, turn 4 is scary. Turn 1, you'll have nightmares there, but everyone talks about this one, turn 2. It will give the drivers nightmares. It's unbelievable. As you crest that brow, it's blind, and it really sorts out the men from the boys.
Fast in, fall away on the exit, double apex. I mean, it is just incredible. And here we go. Here's the Gt2 Battle once again. And you can see the overall race leader already has caught them and are working through. And watch this right here. Up, over, and down into it, Cal.
It's hard to believe. In qualifying, at least, the LMP2 cars were running absolutely wide open. I've raced here, Greg. That is a scary thought. I mean, even in an Atlantic car with a lot of downforce, you had a little tap of the brakes, a little lift, but to run through there flat out at about 150 miles an hour is something else.
You watch these guys work in traffic right now. This is what Capello said would be their strong suit. It's very difficult to pass, and the torque of that Audi is going to help them when they get bogged down in there. The Porsche guys conversely said, this is what's going to hurt us. If we catch traffic between 1 and 5 and we have to get out of the throttle, we're going to lose momentum. We're going to be in trouble.
Brian, we've had a big off. Trying to look at what corner that might be in. Got into the tires, obviously, and a very, very tough hit.
That's turn 1,
That's
I
turn
believe.
1, exit of 1, and we are full course caution here at Mosport, and I think we've got to look at it.
Here we come. That's the number 19 machine. Adam Pecorari, he won a race here today. Some sort of failure there at the left rear corner. It may be a tire going down, but we saw some bodywork rub. We talk about the speeds there. Prototypes running about 140 miles an hour through that corner, and the good news is the young lad is now climbing out unscathed, it looks like, physically.
Well, you can see why they use those tire barriers. They do the job. And he's out. And even the corner worker came over and he said, no, I'm okay. And there's the signal from the corner worker. He is fine. And boy, that was a big shunt. And his weekend, he had a good one. He won earlier today in a World Challenge race, but tough moment there. And you're right, it certainly looked like something may have let go.
Yeah, there's definitely some smoke emanating from that left rear corner of the bodywork. So whether the bodywork had got hit elsewhere during the lap or whether the tire just went down, but Adam Pecorari looked like he was just a passenger at that point, and that is a scary part of the racetrack. And there's Van der Steur right there. Been a tough season for these boys. They had a huge wreck in testing before the season even started at Road Atlanta, so they missed several rounds. This is the new Radical chassis. Very fast, a lot of potential, but this is a small budget team. They can't afford these type of hits.
Well, they had a big hit at Sebring in practice, and that was what kept them out of some of the early going. So just a tough deal for them at this stage, but nonetheless, the car obviously had the problem, but it protected the driver, as did the tires, and Pecorari. It was a hit. There's no question. I think he's just trying to gather his wits just a little bit here. So at this stage, let's take a look. Here are the leaders in our 4 different classes, and up front, Dindo Capello continues to lead overall. Welcome back, everybody, to the Grand Prix of Mosport, where we remain under a full course caution for the incident of Pecorari in the Van der Steur Racing Radical, and they're well into the cleanup at this stage. Now, you know, throughout the season, we've been doing our Cub Report. Well, when you come to Mosport, there's only one guy that could be the Cub Reporter, the guy they call the mayor of Mosport, Ron Fellows. And this weekend, he decided to explore the art of racing.
Hi, I'm Ron Fellows. I'm the Cub Reporter for this Mosport event.
being as this is a race I'm actually going to get to do. We are here with Stefan Johansson, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting if we went through the paddock and talked about helmets. Steph, tell us about it.
Well, it's sort of evolved a bit through the years. It's the main design has always been the leaf, or the now 3 leaves, but and it basically goes back to my my nickname back in Sweden is Little Leaf, or abbreviation of that in Swedish.
Who's Big Leaf?
My dad is Big Leaf, and he grew up in a little village called Leaf Town, or abbreviation of that. When I did the first Grand Prix I did in Mexico years ago, I sort of became a national hero because they thought they were jalapenos.
I think like everybody's helmet design, it grows. It's not just there. So to be honest, the first thing on my helmet was, maybe I can show it. It's a little bit like in the design. This should be like an M, which is my syllable for the last name. It's like an M, which is on the right side also. And then for sure, to be patriotic, I have my colors of black, red, and yellow, which is Germany.
As a kid, you want to identify with something, and I think a driver always a real one-to-one relationship with his helmet, and certainly from my point of view. And it started with very much a tartan band, which is obviously very Scottish, but it was kind of like just a look round the top, very similar to Jackie Stewart. And since then, over the course of the years, it's only really changed, really twice since then. One time when I sort of changed it to create this swoop down the back, and the other one was with this checkered flag idea on the top, which we've got some luminous helmets for night driving, at Le Mans or Sebring or Petit. However, fundamentally, the whole sort of structure of the paint job has stayed very, very similar all the way, well, now for the last 20-odd years.
This design goes all the way back to 1985. I was a mechanic at the Jim Russell School, and Bell Helmets was good enough to give me a white helmet. I couldn't afford to get it painted, and in the closet of the apartment in which I was living, there was, and this is a true story, man, there was a piece of red contact paper that was about 1 foot by 1 foot, and I started cutting it up and trying to find a speedy design, and this is what I came up with. And so, but yeah, I've stayed with it, my goodness, a long, long time now.
Now, pop quiz. What am I holding, the man from Georgia?
Well, everybody in the martial arts world would call this a weapon. Americans would call it a hockey stick, and Canadians would call it a beer bottle opener, and I only know that because you showed me how to do it. So.
Good. It wasn't me, it was my friend.
All right, so Ron's going to enjoy retirement.
He certainly will. A lot of fun between those two guys, and what's interesting today is with Ronnie coming back, he and Johnny are on the track right now competing against one another. When you've been teammates as long as they have, that must be a weird scenario for those boys today.
And I should clarify, Ron, whenever that retirement comes, we're not insinuating a thing, and we'll be right back.
Well, standard issue for us, basically.
Remember, folks, Speed Onboard Pass puts you behind the wheel of the American Le Mans Series. Don't just watch the race, get in the driver's seat and take a thrill ride with Speed Onboard Pass. Log on to speedtv.com right now and get your free onboard pass by Acura. And we continue under a full course caution here for the incident, and we are on board with the number 62 and Calvin. They just did a pit stop, and the reason is because they got a gift.
They really did. One of the problems when you're running 4 classes all together is the overall position of the leader certainly has an influence. Let me explain this to you. What we had was the 62 car was right there. Then we had the leader of the race, the number 1 car right there, followed by the 61 and then the 71. These are all GT2 cars. So the leader is split the pack. Then we went yellow. Immediately what happens is the pace car then comes out right here to pick up the leader. This allows Mika Salo to go all the way around to the back of the pack. Essentially, he had a lap, almost a lap on everyone else. They made that pit stop as a freebie. He's full of fuel. He's got fresh tires, and he has 3/4 of a lap lead on the rest of the GT2 field.
The gift.
The gift.
That keeps on giving
it's
for the
just,
next 2 hours and 30 minutes.
It's just the breaks you get, and it can happen with any of the classes. And Dindo was flying, obviously, and got in amongst those GT2 cars quickly. And just the timing of that yellow was everything.
Well, that's why it pays to qualify up front. I mean, that's the deal. There you go. Professor Poisson. Nicely done, sir. one of the things I wanted to just mention here was Capello's pole. By the way, Capello's pole was his 12th career. That ties him for the all-time P1 pole record with Frankie Biela. So very good weekend for Dindo.
Yeah, remember last year that Rizzi Ferrari won the GT race here when Stefan Johansson and Johnny Molan was driving it, and it went through the whole race with only one pit stop, and that's how they won the class last year. I spoke to Dave Sims before the race. I said, "You're going to do it on one stop this time?" And he said, "Well, it's very, very tight." So as you said, Calvin, it was a gift. They just topped it up. As I see the Mazda come in for a little bit of fuel. This is the second pit stop we've had. So maybe there's a few problems there. And just an update from Van der Strohe. I talked to the team. They think something broke in the rear suspension, but Adam, the driver, didn't actually say anything about that.
Well, again, those are the loads that you're putting through the chassis. Teams are talking about cornering loads of like 4 and plus Gs. I mean, that's amazing. They're sustained as well. These are long duration corners, and you're really loading up those suspension parts.
And it looks like the number 45 flying Luther car of Van Overbeck and Bergmeister took an opportunity for a stop as well. And I guess if you got the 62 car out there, they're second in the points. Might as well roll the dice, see if you can come up with something.
That's right. I mean, you really got to play with that track position, and if you're a little bit back further in the pack in terms of track position behind that pace car, it's really a no-brainer. But you've got to roll the dice here. They realize the Ferraris are awfully tough to beat. And again, these guys are in the thick of that GT2 championship. Lost the lead in the championship at the last round when Mika Salo and Jamie Miller finally got back into victory circle.
Obviously, they're in full chat mode right now to catch the back of the pack. They've caught the 62, and that is now the field that has been gathered up, and we're hoping to be going back to green here fairly shortly. Some great views from our Porsche aerial shot.
This is awesome. It's an uphill stretch here on the Andretti straightaway, flat out, and a lot of the cars are flat out through that initial apex and then hard on the brakes.
Cal, you were just talking about the number 45 Flying Lizard car. I checked in with Tommy Sadler, and he said, yeah, you know, we lost a lap, so we're going to go ahead and take this opportunity to top off with fuel now. We don't have anything for him now, so maybe we can beat him on strategy later, because right now, that Ferrari's just too fast.
And right now, we are going back to green, and Capello on the hammer. Pirro right behind him. Then they have the lap car, but Dumas wasted no time ducking around the Ferrari, and is now going to see if he can come after him hard. Then there is Marino Franchitti, and that black and blue Red Green Racing XM satellite car has gone around as well.
Ellery there, very wide there on the entry to turn 2. It looked like he may have almost missed the turning point. And then you see Marino Franchitti trying to get this car up to speed. The key right now is you do not want to get any tire pickup when you're running around on the caution with hot tires. These little marbles that are torn off the tires throughout the duration of the race. It's easy to pick those up, and there's almost like a snowball effect. So right now the drivers will be trying to get those tires back up to pressure, back up to temperature, and then get back in a rhythm.
Good look at this car, and we talked earlier about that. They have been very fast from the time they rolled it off the hull, and Herta did a great job of qualifying. Marino has been equally impressive.
I've been very impressed with Marino this year. I mean, I talked about him being an unknown quantity at this level. That's no disrespect to him, but he's in amongst the big boys right now. But boy, has he ever performed. I spoke to Brian Herta over the course of the weekend. He said, I am so pleased with Marino this year, and now that he's starting to really feel comfortable within the car, he's also starting to really work hard at the technical feedback, where it's getting a similar feel. And look at the speed there. This is the exit of turn 1 and then the approach to turn 2. That is the one that really just makes you try and catch your breath. It is heart-stopping for the drivers.
Just that little flash of brake on full fuel loads, I would assume, as that lightens up. That is amazing to watch the speed of turn-in of these cars.
I mean, it's total commitment in qualifying, as we mentioned, flat out through there. Here we see Dindo Capello feeling the pressure from Pirro. He's certainly feeling his oats right now. He's looking strong.
That caution, by the way, was just a little over 14 minutes, 14 and 9. So there's some fuel consumption possibilities in terms of saving a little fuel, seeing what will happen in terms of stop start.
Well, one great thing about that diesel technology is everyone saves fuel under yellow, but the diesel barely uses any. When it's at partial throttle like that, it really uses just a whisper of fuel, so it really magnifies the fuel that can be saved under a caution period for the LMP1 guys running diesel technology.
And I suppose some 900 foot-pounds of torque, you could put it in 4th or 5th and just look everywhere.
And you see the the sparking there. They're the little rub plates that they have on front of the splitter there, so you don't wear down the bodywork, which is very important in producing the downforce on the front of these cars. So as you get the heavy loads through these fast corners, occasionally you'll see a little spark, sometimes from the bodywork, and certainly there's skin plates, as they call it, underneath the chassis as well.
So Capello and Pirro, the two Audis, continue to lead, but Dumas this time much closer than they were before the caution happened. Here are the top 4 class leaders. The Audis continue to lead here at the Grand Prix of Mosport. Capello over Pirro, and they have now opened up about a 1.5-second lead over Dumas in the first of the yellow Penske Porsches, the DHL car. So let's go take a look at what's going on in GT2. And got some interesting developments here. There's a good look at the number 31 Peterson White Lightning Porsche of Dirk Mueller, and he is in the 3rd spot. Second, however, is Hensler right in front of him, who was able to get around. Then Ellery in the second racing car, and still running very impressively is the Panos problem.
Oberlin's having a great run. He flew in here overnight, having done another sports car race yesterday over on the West Coast. But Ellery is certainly struggling a little bit here. Here we see him coming up the back straightaway. Hensler's already cleared them. That's the blue and white Porsche. Then it's 2 Ferraris going side by side. Dirk Mueller on the outside in the white Lightning car. Takes it and immediately takes the line away from Eric Ellery.
And Oberlin, again, just maintaining station very, very close. Another good run going right now for Tom Milner in the number 18 Greyhound Letterman racing entry, the Bell Micro car. So it's a good goal. And look at this here. It's Oberlin dives down underneath, and he too sneaks by Ellery. And one has to wonder, is Ellery having a little bit of a problem, or is it just the pace issue?
Well, you have to think that maybe he's used the tyres up a little bit. I mean, it's in the early going. These are the same tyres that they qualified there. Billy Oberlin throwing that Panos across the racetrack, coming on that front straightaway. I spoke to Joey Hand here this weekend. He said the car's a real handful, but it is fast, but trying to hang on to it. This is a physically demanding racetrack.
Speaking of fast, did you see how quick Marino went by that group right there? Just blew by him as we're on board with the 62 Asalo. And he is working up, catching some of that GT2 traffic itself. Now, the 31 of Mueller, you see the white Ferrari has caught Hensler in the Tafel Porsche. Looking to the inside, and they're 3 abreast at that point. Whoa, and here comes Pirro as well.
Slices through. There's Dumas. There's Franchitti. 2 LMP2 cars going for the class lead as well.
And everybody skates through, but when I saw Capello duck to the inside, making 3 at best into 2, that's difficult math. And we get a report now that from the pits, the guys say they checked in with the recent team and no report of anything from the 61. So just trying to come to grips with it. Look at the telemetry here as we hop on board with Maassen in the number 6 DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche. But at 170, just ticks it. Breathes out of it a little bit here as they head into 8, and that was in traffic, though.
There was. And for comparison, the Audi telemetry have showed that they've been seeing 188 miles an hour down that back straightaway. So possibly 10 miles an hour difference between the front-running LMP2 cars and the P1 Audis. This is where it's tough, mate. I mean, the GT2 guys just say we don't have the downforce to get through these corners, and we're basically trying to hold on, and then you've got cars flying around your ears. It is really scary, even for the slower cars in this situation. There you see Hensler. He takes the line, and on the outside, that's Stefan Johansson in the high-craft Acura.
That time through 2, they got past on the outside. The previous lap, Capello shot down the inside. So that's the thing. You never know where they're going. And in these GT2 cars, it's tough to see these low prototypes in the mirror sometimes, especially with hills.
Well, you never know where they're going, Greg. But the other problem for the guys in the P2 cars, remember, they're lighter. They don't have the horsepower. If they get held up at all, they really lose a lot of time. So the guys in the P2 cars really willing to stick it in, trying to keep that momentum, that speed up.
A bit desperate now. We're going to show you Hensler, the number 71 GT2 Porsche. Look at the top speed here. This is 150, just shy of 160 there, Cal.
About 158, so we saw about 170-ish on the P2 cars, 158 on GT2, 188, almost 190 miles an hour on those Audi machines. But right now, Dirk Mueller, who has raced here before, back in 2001, he sat on the pole, finished second in a BMW. He's looking to get that position away. There's one of the Dyson cars slicing through and splitting the two GT2 cars once again.
And that's what's going to happen. Mueller worked very hard to catch Hensler, and then one of the faster class cars comes rocketing through, and suddenly you have to check up a little bit, and you lose 2-3 car lengths. You have to start the process all over again, and right when you get there, another car may come through at this stage.
Saw the back end of that Panos there going through turn 2. Billy Orblin's definitely got some handling that he's trying to deal with there as twitching and bucking through there. But right now, Marino Franchitti having another great run. Remember, the Penske's have dominated the class since round 1 in Sebring, when the 26 car did take that great debut victory for Acura. Since then, it's been all Porsche. Acura would love to fight back here today.
Now, Marino just ran a couple of laps that were significantly quicker than Dumas. So, once again, it's an impressive drive by Marino Franchitti as he is running down and catching Dumas. This is the battle for the lead in the P2 category.
Talking to Brian Herder, I said, how happy are you about the seat? And he said, well, I know that we've got a lot more potential in this car. Remember, Honda come into any new category and they take things slowly. They didn't expect to come in here and just clean everyone's clock. They're here on a learning exercise. We have a lot of things in the pipeline for the off-season. We'll come back stronger next year. So Brian Herder knows this team is just going to go from strength to strength.
Into Moss hairpin, and there you see it, the margin down to a couple of car lengths. Some of that, the compression under braking. Dumas opens it up just a little bit as they start the run down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Maassen, by the way, 3rd in class. Johansson in the Highcroft Acura 4th, and Diaz in the number 15 Lola Acura sits in 5th in class.
Look, it's pretty equal there. Looked like the Penske, the Porsche may have got a little bit more pull initially off Moss corner, middle of the straightaway. The Acura went better than the top end. It seemed pretty equal. So overall, there's not much to choose between them. Right there, Dumas slices underneath the GT1 Corvette. Here comes Marino.
Gets underneath the vet, but it took him the whole front straight to do it, such is the power of the Corvettes. And now a little bit of a balk. Both of them going to sweep around the outside of 33 fellows. They make it work. I think Ron knew exactly what was going on there and gave them just enough room, and both of them took it, ripped around the outside of that corner. And here are your top 5 in the P2 category right now. The battle for the lead in this class is on. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and by Klein Tools, American-made quality for 150 years. Pros know the difference. And it is the Audis leading still here at the Grand Prix of Mosport overall, running 1-2. But here is your battle for, well, we're on board right now with Capella, who is the leader, up into Moss. And just look at the launch he's going to get out of this turn. And all of those GT2 cars up in front right now. Fear is in their mirrors.
It's like a Pac-Man machine. Look at this. He's just eating them up this straightaway. And again, this is the new Audi. This is the car that ran at Le Mans. A little bit high technology, particularly in the engine department. Chassis, suspension, not that much different, but talking to the team, has a little bit more power on tap. The fuel efficiency is not that much better, but certainly more power if they need it. So they're pulling out all the stops now. They didn't expect to bring these chassis over for the American Le Mans Series duration, but they certainly understand that Penske and Porsche were a big threat, and they had to try and get back on top of the podium.
5 gulps going down that back straight. Now we got such good racing going on here. We're going to give you a look at a couple of the battles that we're kind of working with right now.
Mueller wiggles it nearly in the grass. He's putting the pressure on Hensler. Can he cut back to the inside before they get to turn 4? Now they're both using all of the road. You see Hensler there squirming, trying to get the power down on that Porsche.
And Pirro ran way wide at the bottom of 2, trying to get around Oberlin. That was a dicey moment as well. Now here you go. You've got the P2 battle on the left, the Porsche and the Acura, and on the right you've got the battle for second in the GT2 category. And there's 3 cars duking it out in that GT2 battle right now. Marino trying to ruin traffic on the left in the P2 battle. He clears them.
And over in the GT2 side of things, it looked like Jim Mueller got very wide in turn 4. I'm sure he got some pickup on his tires. Right now, he is under pressure from Oberlin down this long back straightaway. Oberlin looks to the inside, not close enough.
It's in turn 8, and now here you go, right in the mix. You've got the P2 battle right in the middle of them here at this stage, and you can watch the 2 different angles. It's a video game going on right here. Dumas, ultra aggressive. Marino matching him. Down into one. Dumas clears the traffic. Marino's got one guy to do. And what did that do, as we talked about? Both of those battles in traffic have opened up. If somebody gets paused, even the GT2 car has to give a little ground. And again, Marino just so fast.
What a graphic description there, Greg, of the difference in speed. The entry speed for that P2 car compared to the GT2 machine is just extraordinary. That's all about downforce.
Now we're on board with Maassen heading into turn 4. He's not far out of touch with that battle. You can see there's Marino just in front. You can see that black speck. So that's the gap from second to third in the P2 category. On board with Maassen, take a look at the telemetry.
10,000 RPM as he winds it through the gears up this long back straightaway. What a great job this team has done this year. They were learning their way a little bit last year. They made a few mistakes, had a few mechanical gremlins, but boy, did they come out of the box this year. Sebring was a disappointment, but since then, they have been tough to beat.
Not just the team, but Porsche doing the rework on that RS Spider. They took whatever the ills were and figured out how to make that car not only more reliable, but faster still.
We have a big battle going on in this LMP2 championship. Right now, Dumas and Bernard have a healthy lead of 17 points, but Sasha Maassen, who drives that number 6 here today alongside Ryan Briscoe, they're trying to close the gap, but they've got to start finishing ahead, otherwise they are going to run out of rounds.
They're on board here with the car 4th in class, the number 9, Forbes Highcroft Acura, Stefan Johansson behind the wheel, and he is only 3 seconds back of the leader in the class at this stage. So you can see right up that little yellow blip, that's Maassen, and then Franchitti we saw just in front of him and Dumas. So this is a very, very close scrap.
Very close scrap. Want to give a shout out to Duncan Dayton, who's not here this weekend, and he drove this car at Sebring, one of the co-drivers, but he had a fall at his house a few weeks ago. Suffered a cracked C1 and C2 vertebra. So Duncan, we wish you were here. We know you're on the main, mate, and we're looking forward to seeing you back in pit lane.
Yeah, he is missed in the paddock, that's for sure. We're on board now with Luis Diaz in the Lowe's Acura from Lowe's Fernandez Racing, and he sits in the 5th spot and only 3 seconds back of Johansson.
This is a great battle. I mean, there's the pride within the Acura camp, but again, the big picture is how do we leapfrog those Penske Porsches? The boys at Andretti Green really feel when we get to Detroit next week, that bumpy circuit and the nature there, they'll be back into their strength. So they're looking forward to that one. But today, it's all about the high-speed swoops of Mosport.
We've talked about it already this season. This car likes to run low. This is the Lola chassis, not the Acura chassis, the reworked Courage, now Acura chassis of the other 2 cars. And Calvin, this track, you say, compared to other road courses, a bit bumpy.
Right here, this is Mark's corner. It's very bumpy through here, for example, and that's what they have difficulty controlling. When they have to lift the ride out of this Lola, it really diminishes the downforce. And again, this team is rebounding from a big crash that Adrian Fernandez had here in practice in turn 9 on Friday.
Yeah, some great onboard shots here. Now, the Cars and Stars of the American Le Mans Series, certainly the feature here this weekend, but there's also some great open wheel racing that this crowd was able to watch. And earlier we saw the 10th round of the Star Mazda Championship. Tonight, grassroots racing will never be the same. 1 hour, 2 new shows. Should Speed pick up these pilots or take them off the air? Launch hour tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. We are in the midst of a GT2 battle, riding with the GT2 leader, Mika Salo, but he is coming up now on the back at this stage of the number 18, Tom Milner. Now remember, Salo, with that timing of that caution and being split by the pace car, was able to get through and try to actually put a lap on his GT2 competitors at this stage to sort of make the point. Now, there's Dirk Mueller in that yellow tinted white Ferrari for Peterson White Lightning, still trying to figure out a way to get around Wolf
Fellows trying to stuff it in there as well. This is a GT1 Corvette we're on board with, trying to fight his way by the GT2 battle.
2 seconds back.
Fellows drives on through, but it's not going to be able to get Hensler here. He's going to have to wait and see if he's going to try something brave. And we're on board now with Maassen in the number 6 Porsche. Oh, that's the GT2 leader, Maassen around the outside. He gets another one around the outside.
As these guys see him coming, they need all of the road there to exit these corners. So this is very dicing their way through the traffic there. Now he goes inside of Bergmeister.
Sweeps around Oberlin. Catches Mueller, heading down into Moss. Now keep in mind, the number 6, Sasha Massa, is third in class, but he's close to Franchitti by only, well, when this all started at the start-finish line, 0.3 of a second.
Nice work, real nice work. +3 on the 9.
Getting stuck in that traffic cost him just a little bit, and now he's going to have to do that work once again, heading up into turn 8. Maassen feeding it in. Boy, look at him close as Franchitti got really balked a little bit by the vet of Fellows. And Ron, I mean, he's driving as fast as that vet goes. The arrow on these P2 cars so substantial, and it one gave Dumas a big break. Now Franchitti, the heat's off. Now Franchitti's got his mirrors full of yellow.
He does. Franchitti now has lost a couple of seconds to Romain Dumas, and just before that, he was really putting the heat on, thinking of taking the class position. But here comes Stefan Johansson, so this is going to be a 4-car battle here very shortly. Stefan Johansson showing tremendous speed, and these guys have done a tremendous job for Acura. They've really been the top-running Acura team in the last few weekends, so they're very pleased with that level of progress within the team.
Little Leaf is on the move.
He really is. He gets the hammer down. He's very intense. Great chemistry within that group, though. The whole team is really knitted together very well. Brabs and Stefan Johansson get on tremendously well, so good form there.
Calvin, I was talking earlier with Danny Sullivan, who helped manage that team, and he said what they're struggling with is a little bit of mechanical grip. The arrow on this Acura chassis seems to be working pretty well, but a little mechanical grip. And you guys were talking about the bumps coming back onto the straightaway. That's one of the areas that they're struggling with right now. So we'll see if they've got a handle on that or not.
And Cal, as you were talking about how AGR is very excited when they go to Belle Isle, but keep in mind, on the bumpiest track we run at, Houston, it was this car that sat on the overall pole. So I think both of these teams are really looking forward to that run at Belle Isle, but they're having a stellar run right now, one of the best of the season.
It really is. It's a great battle here for the P2. It's really brought this whole series alive with Acura and Porsche on board here. Just tremendous stuff to see these major car manufacturers duking it out on the racetrack. And I think that this car will certainly come on strong next year. We understand it is still quite a bit overweight.
This battle for second in GT2 is still intense, and they're now getting split by the 2 Dyson cars. First Andy Wallace and then Chris Dyson himself as they work through. Now they clear him, so it's still Hensler second, Mueller third. Oberlin is fourth, and Bergmeister, after that stop, is just clicking his way up through this group. He's going to look. Thought maybe he might chuck down the inside of Oberlin, but Oberlin's pretty savvy and protected the inside.
What a great job there for driving the Planos. They're on the Yokohama tires. This class pretty much dominated by Michelin for many years, so certainly this is a great performance. We've seen Yokohama being fast in qualifying, but being fast and then having the durability to maintain that pace over a full fuel stint is really the key. These guys just keep concertinating backwards and forwards. Some of it traffic, and some of it just different strengths in different areas of the racetrack. You know inside!
Let's see, oh, they touched! Just a little tick, and Oberlin almost got caught out. He swung to the inside, sensing opportunity to get Hensler. And for him, the lucky thing was if he hadn't done that, I think Bergmeister would have got Oberlin. Unbelievable racing in GT2. So right there, Hensler goes from second to fourth.
Wow, lock up there for Millner, it looks like. He's now under pressure. That's Micasalo, I believe, who's the current leader. Yes, it is. It's the leader in class who's trying to put a lap down on these guys. So what a surprise move by Mueller, taking that position away from Hensler coming on that front straightaway. That's not where you typically expect someone to make a move.
And we just heard the radio from Hensler saying he hit me on the inside. So there was contact, and we'll see what that plays out. Getting a lockup from Miller.
Micasalo right there at the end of this train, that battle going on in front of him now. He'd love to have the complete lap on these guys, but I was just talking to Jamie Mello, and Jamie said, look, we just need to bide our time. We've got a lap on these guys, almost a lap. We can't afford to have these get caught up in this, so I think as much as it's difficult for him to sit back and wait a little bit, he's going to have to be really careful and patient if he wants to pick his way through.
Well, the key is he's also also full of fuel. So if this race stays green, these other guys are going to have to pit before him. Then he needs to make hay. There's a good chance that when the other guys hit pit lane, by him running some fast laps, when they come out of the pits, he will have them a full lap down.
Well, watching how intense this cut and thrust is in front of him, if I've got nearly a lap on the field, I'm not going to do it. Here comes Bergmeister taking a look as Pirro is bringing the second place overall in P1 Audi in.
He's in the pit line.
Just so you know, Bergmeister didn't get that pass done. Brian?
Pirro takes a drink. We were not doing driver change right now. Fuel going in, tires laid out. I do not think that these guys will double stint tires here today. Remember, we had some problems with tires at Road America, so looks like they'll be careful here. They're going to be cautious, and they'll put tires on, and why wouldn't you? A very high-speed racetrack, you cannot afford to have a tire go down here, not with the high-speed S's that you have from turns 1 to 5. That diesel fuel flowing, the fuel is in, tires going on right now. Now, we talked about the length of time for pit stops. This car a little bit longer wheelbase, maybe a half a second longer to get to the rear tire to change it, but guess what, guys? That's still a half a second that the other cars are going over 100 miles an hour around Mosport.
A little bit of a delay there in getting that fired up. We heard them working with that in this morning's warm-up in terms of when they were going to have Emanuele Pirro hit the power button to try and get that car to launch. We saw a slight delay there on the relaunch.
So Pirro is out here now. Are the top 4 in each class. Capello leads overall, of course, the leader in each class. P1, P2, Gavin P1. And Close Fantasy Racing on AmericanLeMans.com is one of the most popular offerings on AmericanLeMans.com. Sports car fans can race against other drivers and fans on the series' best road courses and even win prizes. That's AmericanLeMans.com. And check out SpeedTV.com's enhanced ALMS coverage. Log on right now. Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Mosport. You ride on board with race leader Dindo Capello, the #1 Audi R10 TDI, and we think he may be ducking into the pits at the end of this long run down the Andretti Straight. And if so, he will have been able to run a couple laps longer, I think, than his teammate, obviously.
And that's quite significant. I mean, normally these boys be pitting within a lap of one another. So here we see, and he's going to take another one. This is really significant, and this could really play into the strategy if this race winds down.
Well, the last time by start-finish, he had a 20-second lead over now Duma after Pirro stopped over Duma in the overall scheme of things, and obviously they're just trying to stretch it out now.
The other key is when this car is light on fuel, it's going to be very fast, so he'll be a lot faster right now. Dindo will on light tanks than Pirro will be, who just topped up. So this is where you really want to get the hammer down. You see this in the Grand Prix racing. When you start a little bit longer, that's when you really want to stretch that margin. So when you make your pit stop and come out, you'll either leapfrog one, someone that's behind, or increase that lead.
That's Pirro. After a stop, now making his way around. We're on board with Stefan Johansson, the #9 Forbes Highcroft Acura, and he's gotten by Maassen, who's able to make it, and traffic played a role.
It does. There's Billy Orblin there coming through turn 2. Which way do I go? Just stay in the middle, Bill. Stefan Johansson, dynamic move around the outside. Here we see on board. Billy Orblin up ahead. Maassen decides to take the outside line. He gets balked. Johansson commits to the outside, gets on the power early, and takes them both.
I think Bill might have been doing a Harry Carey impression. Holy cow! And look at the battle here now. This continues. It is intense. Hensler. Salo trying to his way up through, and he's now trying to get around Hensler, which means he's trying to get up and lap the 5th place car in class. Oh, and the #4 Ollie Gavin is off. Right to the tires. I don't know that he actually hit them, but he certainly got to the tires. This is a huge development.
It really is. He was the leader in GT1.
All right,
Johnny
go forward.
O'Connell.
You got to go forward with the handle for reverse. There you go. There you go. Be careful. All right, get you.
Here we come. Coming down into turn 3. And there is John Field down the inside. Makes a commitment to the inside. Hops over the curbs. Hits the side of Ollie Gavin and takes him out of the GT1 lead.
Never did quite get it. You saw the 3 go through. So Johnny O'Connell now has picked up the lead in GT1. Gavin's back on and gathered it up. And we get a report from pit lane that the Audi cam is set up once again. There is McNish. Looks like they're going to get their driver changed up. Here we go.
Board. I cannot believe the difference in the fuel strategy here. Maybe the number 2
okay,
car.
Drew, nice and steady and you'll be fine. Jerome, 1 second of fuel in the vent. Set 9 tyres.
I wonder if Pirro didn't start with fuel tanks.
One left to legs. Front.
Got fuel and tyres there, trying to relay the information to Dindo.
We're okay. Fuel pressure is okay. Pressure, there's the car in front. The traffic, not the pressure.
Communication seemed to be that Dindo thought maybe they'd gone one lap too long.
Be boxed into map and watch the pitted line. Be careful of the pitted line.
Initial thought from the team was Dindo was saying we've gone one lap too long on fuel. He was saying we've gone one lap too long. We've got all this traffic. This has cost us time. We should have pitted earlier. We wouldn't have encountered that traffic. We'd have got back out on the racetrack in better track position.
So Capello in, and of course the vet is in as well. Here comes Capello.
Capello brings the car in. We'll time how long it's going to take the fuel for this Audi diesel power plant as McNish goes in. Driver change can be done while they're fueling. Remember, tire changing cannot. Obviously, if they're going to take a driver, it will take 4 new tires right now. That diesel fuel still flowing in, the driver change going on. You heard Capello saying, I got hung up in that traffic, guys, and would have liked to come one lap earlier. But remember, these guys need to stretch the fuel as far as they can. Fueling done. In 30 seconds, it took to fill this tank. Front tires are on, coming to the back. Everything going flawlessly. I was saying they stayed out as long as they could. They don't want to have to do this in 3 stops. I was said earlier in the race, this race could be won on pit lane. 44, almost 45 seconds it took to do that stop. That's a great point, Brian.
Turn tight to turn 1 now, and turn tight, Kira's coming. Watch your exit.
Dindo Capello would be saying, why didn't you pit me earlier? I lost a lot of time on that lap. The engineers are looking at the fuel telemetry and saying, we need to try and stretch this as far as we can because they've now got an hour and 43 minutes to go to the checkered flag. They'd like to do it on just 1 more stop. If you pit earlier, it's going to make that more difficult.
And he went almost 8 minutes longer than Pirro did, so that is huge. And we just got a report, the 37 of field, stop and go penalty for that contact with number 4 stop before back.
I would have to think that that fuel difference between the 2 and the 1 would have to be that the 2 did not start on a full tank load to try and have a faster car at the beginning.
Andrew?
Yeah, the 26 is in here. Marino Franchitti just climbing up. Brian Herter is climbing in. And this, of course, is the first LMP2 car come onto the pit lane. The fuel is still going in. And everyone looking pretty calm and collected down here. We're expecting also the Lowe's Acura to come in the next minute or so. This pit stop, lots of fuel going in here. And now up on the Jacksons, we'll have a new set of Michelins. And then they'll be off. Front tyres going on here on the 26 car, and it will be away, and I'll see if I can get hold of Marino Franchitti, who did absolutely fabulous job.
Heard away, you saw the number 3 now in the hands of Jan Magnussen take off, and that should put a guy named Ron Fellows into the lead with the pit sequence. His 70th start in the American Le Mans Series. Bit of a milestone and happening right here as we look at Ron in the office at his beloved Mosport. And the fans, boy, they are going to be loving this moment right now. So, Fellows in the lead in GT1. Dumas leads overall. Speed Onboard Pass puts you behind the wheel of the American Le Mans Series. Don't just watch the race, get in the driver's seat and take a thrill ride with Speed Onboard Pass. Log on to speedtv.com now and get your free onboard pass by Acura. And you ride on, speaking of Acura, you ride on board with Stefan Johansson while we're away. An incident in turn 2, and you can see, Calvin, some pretty significant damage to that car. Pits are closed as we are now under a full course caution. And it's left front, or right front, left rear.
There's major damage to this car, Brian.
Yeah, as he rolled down pit road, guys, I'm looking at the spindle, the hub on the left rear, and it did not seem to be square. So I think it may be more damage than just the cut tire and the bent wheel here in the back. Obviously, more damage on the front. So this is going to be a long stop, and this team just cannot seem to catch a break, guys.
Here we see on board with Stefan. This is turn 2. There's Dominic Farnbacher on the inside. And this is what we've been watching all day long. It's really close there with these high downforce prototype machines attempting to make this move around the outside. Dominic may not have known that he was there. Here's another angle at it. Here he is. Stefan commits to the outside. He really, oh, Dominic had already got loose there. Maybe he tried to pinch it, seeing Stefan make the move around the outside. He got loose and tagged into Stefan Johansson. Two lucky boys there. Here we're on board with Sasha Masson. There you see it. Dominic Farnbacher got loose there in the middle of the corner, and that is what took Stefan Johansson out.
I saw brake lights, and that's, you know, you might do that maybe to settle it a little bit, but they look real abrupt. And it certainly looked, Brian, on the way in, you were looking at that left rear tire. It looked like maybe the toe link on the back was broken because the front of that tire was angled pretty awkwardly.
Mechanics will give this a good look over. The first priority is safety. Do not send the car back onto the track if it's unsafe.
Andrew?
Well, this car is not looking very healthy at all. Both the right-hand side tyres are flat. The rear splitter, I can see, is damaged, and lots of problems for this car. So this is going to take quite a little while to fix, I think.
Well, the pits are closed right now. This is why the teams are waiting. They can bring the car in with no penalty, but you cannot service the car or really get into it. And I don't know what the Highcroft boys are doing here. I don't think they should be doing this with the pit lane closed.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out. Once again, the leaders in the 4 classes. Dumas leads overall, but with the pits closed, could be interesting. Tonight on Speed, step into the wind tunnel with Dave Despain. Don't miss all the biggest names, the biggest opinions, and the biggest mouths all season long. And of course, Dave will be on hand to fan the flames of controversy. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, live on Speed. Big crowd here today, and one of the nice things for them is after enduring 2 days of fairly miserable, wet, windy weather, we've got some sunny skies, some blue, and the temperature is very pleasant out there, so finally it came good for them.
It did, and just a very passionate crowd up here in Canada. They love their motorsports, and what a terrific facility to sit on these banks and just watch these cars at high speed.
Watch Ron Fellows lead, of course. All right, the pits are now open, and Brian, you got a bunch of yellow in.
Yeah, both Penske cars are in, and they will affect driver changes right now, and it's a great thing that the pits did open, because I'm telling you, the fuel lights were on both of these Porsche RS Spyders. Right now, the number 6 driver change being done. Ryan Briscoe taking over from Sasha Masson, and then back in the 7 car, Romain Dumas getting out, Timo Bernhard getting in. Remember, Sasha Masson won this race with Lucas Luhr last year in the P2 category, but this new RS Spider so much better aerodynamically, and right now it seems like the 7 has a bit of an advantage.
Driver ID.
Tires were on sooner here for Timo Bernhard. He's going to get past his teammate in pit lane, and he's out and away. The 6 car still sitting dead stick.
Back is clear.
Well, the 7 car did have the lead in class, so it's probably an equal pit stop right here. But these boys really didn't get any favors here. Yes, they're stopping later. They're going to have a full tank full of fuel, but with this series and the pit lane being closed, it really hurts you if you're about to come in, because it stacks the whole pack back up. They would have had about a 30-40 second gap on the rest of the field, maybe more, to be able to do their pit stop under green and get back out. Here, the whole field was stacked up behind the pace car. This was a disadvantage for the Penske boys.
Andrew, what's going on in your end of the pits?
Well, we just had the 15 Lowe's Acura come in. Adrian Fernandez is climbed in that car. It's checked out of the pits. It's back on the racetrack. Had a bit of drama down here at the 73 Tafel Racing machine. The official down here would not let them work on the car, although all the other cars were coming to the pits. He was still stopping them working on the car, and they've had a lot of discussion. There's a lot of shouting and arguing going on down here. And finally, Dominic Farnbacher has got out of the car. Jim Tafel has got into it. And they're not a happy bunch down here, and obviously they've got quite a bit of damage on the car as well.
Yeah, just obviously involved in that shunt, and then problems in the pits at this time as well. So obviously a bit of frustration going on with that Taffel Racing number 73. The team car still in the midst of a fairly good run as well. Work completing, doing the tires, and Piro is bringing it in, and obviously playing a bit of strategy here.
Well, this is going to spice everything up. Both Audis are in. They were obviously too tight to make it on one more stop. Brian, they're both in.
And McNish is going to be able to get out first. No driver change going on, obviously, on the one car, but that misfortune for the Porsches, with everything being bunched up, coming in under the caution, I think has been a little bit of breathing room for the Audis. They're going to take this opportunity to come in, get some fuel. See, now they might not be able to do it in just one more stop. Right now, the driver change continuing in the number 2 car. Berger strapped in.
Okay, you're clear to go. You're clear to go.
A little bit of confusion here as we try and figure out, and Kellner was given the okay to go, and now, oh boy, this was crucial. They've stopped him at the end of pit lane here. So this could be, and now he gets the all clear, so I'm not quite sure what that was all about. Normally when they'll stop you, that means that the pace car is going by, so maybe McNish caught a break compared to the 2 machine right there.
All right, so he has been released, and there is the pace car heading down into 2. So right at the tail end of the field coming through was the reason for that. And if the number 1 Audi, and then of course the number 2 Audi said they needed a little bit more caution to maybe make it on one more stop, they're getting it right now. Log on to AmericanLeMans.com and check out a variety of podcasting feature elements. Podcasting has become a fan favorite, so check it out today. That's AmericanLeMans.com. And once again, you can check out some enhanced ALMS coverage on SpeedTV.com. Make sure you do. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Lexus and their pursuit of perfection, and by Michelin, a better way forward. We are back at Mosport, and we continue under a full course caution, but you'll notice the lights out on the pace car looking to go green. There's Ron Fellows talking with his teammate for a lot of years, Johnny O'Connell, both of them out of the car.
That's a pretty neat, to watch these two boys who've had so much success, won so many championships over the years, to now be competing against one another and doing a debrief whilst both cars are still on the racetrack. It's pretty cool.
Brian?
Well, here they are talking to each other. Our mayor of Mosport, our ALMS Speed Cub reporter, Johnny Red. Don't you turn your back. Oh, I see what you got in your mouth. You guys having fun out there?
Yeah.
You still taking him to school?
You'd have to ask him. I kind of messed up and he got by. No, that's fun. Well, the only thing that is difficult is, boy, the P2 cars, when they come by in a bunch and you get off the line, you get so much pickup on your tires, it takes like 3 laps to recover. And it's almost scary how wicked the car is with when you pick up all the rubber. But other than that, you get a bunch more GT1 cars, we have some fun.
Right now, talk about GT1 cars, that white Corvette, you've got 01 of 399 of those Corvettes that were made for this. You got 10? Oh, you don't have it yet. I heard you had 01. There are 399 of those made. The question is, when Johnny comes to visit, are you going to let him drive it?
Absolutely.
Does Linda get to drive it?
Yeah, she's paying for half of it, so she will.
All right, Johnny, all these years you get to run with Ron. You guys sharing the car together. Was it a little strange to be out there together, but this time you're racing against each other instead of racing with each other?
Yeah, you know what? No, it was weird because, yeah, I'm so used to so many great moments and all that kind of stuff, you know, him and I together. And, I mean, the guy's a genius around here, and it was kind of fun being behind him, and I'd see him run to a place I'd never, you know, dare venture, and it worked. And so finally I learned a little bit more from him. And but no, we had a really good run, and if there's a guy I got to be out there on the racetrack with, either in the car or in another car against him, it's Ron.
Well, I know you guys are all Corvette all the time, but my question is this special Corvette tape that Doug Feehan is now standing in front of, and when we pull this off, does it actually bring skin with it?
No, it leaks out. The nice thing is it takes the hair off, so I don't have to use a trimmer.
Well, these guys always having fun down here, and they're definitely having fun today with 3 Corvettes in the field.
Even velocity yellow tape. And they take it right to the end. All right, Andy Pilgrim now, of course, on board. That number 33. Pearl white colored vet. That is the color of the car. That Ron Fellows limited edition ALMS Championship Corvette.
Last time Andy was in one of these Corvettes was way back in 03 at the Petit Le Mans, so he had a lot of success over the years, one of the regular Corvette drivers for several seasons, and he's very pleased to be back here this weekend sharing the car with his old buddy Ron Fellows.
Matter of fact, Andy and Ron in 2001 won at Texas Motor Speedway, the first of Corvette's 53 wins, and those two did it together, so great to have Andy back in the fold as well. And we're going to step away just for a moment. We'll be right back with more action here at Mosport. Back once again at Mosport Park. Greg Kramer along with Calvin Fish, Brian Till, Andrew Marriott down in pit lane, and hoping to get this yellow resolved here fairly shortly. We have just a little over an hour and 21 minutes to go in this one. And while we're under caution, a great time to talk to, I think, one of the stars in the early going of this race, Andrew Marriott with Marino.
Yeah, with Marino, you managed to split the Porsches. Absolutely fabulous. I think you came of age as a racing driver today somehow.
Well, thank you. It was great fun out there. We had a good start, and we really just sitting behind I don't know if it's Timo or Romain, putting them under a lot of pressure, and we had the better car. You know, they were starting to slide around. A few laps, about 10 or 15 laps in, I had a problem. All the dashboard went, everything. No traction control. No pit lane speed limit or nothing, so I think we were going to get a penalty for that, but it was great. It was great to be up there mixing it, just a little frustrated with the problems that we're having, but you know, the XM satellite Acura has been great all day, and it's frustrating, you know, we've had this little issue because I think we have a winning car today. It was great fun just seeing the Porsche struggling to stay in front of us, and you know, but for a little bit of traffic, I think we'd have had him.
Now, just a minute ago, we saw the car come in again. That was just a top up with fuel, yes?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we just got the wave round, so we're at the back of the queue anyway, so it's always good to extend your window and give Brian a little more fuel.
And good to see Big Brother was on the pole of the race somewhere else in this country.
Yeah, I mean, if I was at home, I'd be switching between Motors TV or Speed and ESPN or Sky or whatever it was on, so yeah, I'm going to have to go and get my XM satellite radio on and listen to the race.
No, you're wrong. This is the place to be, Marino. Thanks very much.
Can you try it while you're out there on the track going slow? That way you'll know what's happening.
I think they're discussing with Brian Herter right now about the electronics on that car. But one thing I don't understand, Greg, is everyone relies on the electronics.
Yeah, it's not working.
But you need a backup system. The engineer should tell the drivers, listen, if something goes wrong at first gear, hold it at 3,000 RPM or whatever, so you don't suddenly come in, hey, the electronics are gone, I'm going to speed. I mean, you know what it should be. You know, just overcompensate for that. He's got no dash in terms of the tachometer as well. Maybe that's an even bigger issue, but just slow it way down. There has to be a way for these guys to get into the pit lane without incurring a penalty under these type of situations.
Well, certainly mechanical and electrical things will occasionally fail. A backup plan's a great idea. And I think Brian has found the guy that Marino was hounding.
And Roma Dumas had a great early run. He's handed it over to Timo Bernhard. But Roma, right now, the traffic just seems to be intense, especially from turns 1 down to turn 5. How daring do you have to be to get past these GT cars?
Well, it's for sure very, very difficult. I just spoke about that. It's you know, to gain 1 or 2 tenths on a lap, we are on the maximum of our possibility. But to lose 2 or 3 seconds by lap because of traffic is very difficult to accept. So you have all the time to try to find the best compromise or the best solution with the traffic to lose the minimum time. But few times I can tell you it's very, very hot inside the car.
Well, obviously the Audis have great speed down this straightaway. What do you guys have to do to make sure you can get in front of them? Where's the trick? Are you going to pass them in pit lane or do you pass them on the racetrack?
Well, I was able to keep the Audi at the start, the first, I think, 10 laps all the time. I think we have the same speed, but the problem soon, it's the traffic on the straight. They are able to pass 5, 6 cars. And the rest, unfortunately, on the same straight, we overtake 2 or 3 cars. So the rest we have to pass on a corner, and for sure we lost more time. But it's a great race. Wait and see the end.
Best of luck.
Well, and to put into perspective, just you know how quick Dumas is the 45. Bergmeister got out, and Van Overbeek is in, but they're sitting in the penalty box. But you know how quick Dumas is, to put in perspective what Marino did. Marino was visibly quicker than anybody else through 2.
He really
through
was.
2. It was just brilliant. So nicely done, Marino. And boy, this is a long hold here.
It is. We're trying to determine what exactly the penalty is for. We understand there may have been an issue during the caution where he may have passed the overall leader of the race as the leader was getting picked up by the pace car. So they're trying to correct this because essentially he could have gained a lap essentially on the rest of his class field. So it gets very complicated with the 4 classes running together when the leaders pit and pace cars out there. I mean, it's a very complex situation.
Tommy, I'm at 100 temperature. Should I?
So he created his own wave around.
Yeah,
basically in there trying to rectify.
No,
okay, pace cars in. And here we go, back to green at Mosport, and watch for McNish. He got around Fernandez, and now he is on the prowl. Briscoe next, and then in the lead, Bernard. Here we go.
One guy who really got caught out with this was Marco Werner. He's second in line of the 2 Audis right now, but he is a lap down on Alan McNish. We saw that red flag. Essentially, Alan dipped out before the pace car came around. Werner was kept in pit lane. He lost the lead in class to Alan McNish. Here we see those Audis. They're going to jump on the throttle. Alan McNish is going to try and use all of the torque. Actually, it's McNish behind Werner right now, so there's not quite a lap between them. If Alan can get around, he'll have a full lap on his teammate, but right now Marco will do everything he can to maintain that position. Look at the speed differential. Probably 10-12 miles an hour there down the straightaway.
Boy, and McNish almost was able to sneak underneath there as well.
It was close, but here is where that P2 car will be good through these fast corners.
And this is the 12 Jean Richard entry. It's a 2-lap penalty for Chris McMurray.
I think they call it for 2 minutes, 10 seconds.
When it was closed, when he left the pits, when exit was closed.
Oh, great. So I get to go
long penalty. Brian?
Guys, I checked in with the Flying Lizard, the number 45, and I talked to Jörg Bergmeister, and I said, what's up? And he said during that yellow, that the number 7 Penske car waved him by. He said the car was going slow, and he saw the driver wave him by, so he's always been told by the officials when you get waved by a car that is significantly off the pace, pass him. So he did. Even the Penske team told the officials, yep, indeed, we waved him by, but to no avail. They've made him serve that penalty, and it has cost them dearly.
Well, it's a tough break. Meanwhile, now as we're watching from Briscoe, let's see McNish underneath picks the spot up. So McNish has gone by.
That was for the overall lead. This is Marco Werner. He's almost a lap down to the leaders, but right behind him, that next car is Alan McNish. He just took the overall lead from the Penske Porsche of Timo Bernard.
Onto the front straight. Here he comes. McNish scoring now. Cycles. McNish leads in Bernard second. Briscoe third. Overall, Fernandez fourth. Overall. That drop down to 2.
What a corner. Pitches really don't do it justice. When you stand at the side of the track and watch the entry speed of those cars through there, it simply takes your breath away.
And you know somebody that came through that pit stop sequence incredibly well. We'll watch for him to come through right. All right, first we're going to show you the pass for the lead from the chopper. I'll get back to the story. Take a look at this. That is just Audi torque and horsepower.
Penske boys, don't try to defend that kind of thing. You're going to get run over. You try and move on that kind of. That was like a runaway freight train right there.
They want to obviously stay on the lead lap.
Now the car first in your frame is Marco Werner. He is almost, as Calvin said, a lap down. So it is the second silver Audi that is leading in the hands of McNish. Then the 2 Penske cars, Bernard and Briscoe, who we are on board with right now. The guy that I was going to talk about who came through that pit stop sequencing beautifully, the number 20, the Thetford Norcold Dyson car, Guy Smith is sitting fourth in class right now, but only 5 seconds behind the overall leader.
He flies around this place. Remember last year he had a great one. In fact, he had the fastest lap of the race here last year in the Dyson P1 car. So right now, on board with McNish, he would love to put Werner down a complete lap.
So McNish now back in front in the Audi and in the overall lead, certainly in the class. We want to remind you that the American Le Mans Series, the Detroit Sports Car Challenge presented by Bosch, will be aired next Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. You're not going to want to miss that one. A return to Belle Isle. McNish leads P1 and overall. Thursday, tune in for the gutsiest show on television, Pink's All Out. It's not for the pink slip. They're chasing the green. $10,000 in cold, hard cash. Run fast, run hard with an all-new episode of Pink's All Out, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, only on Speed. And we ride on board with Alan McNish, and he ducks underneath Werner. And I'm not sure. I think Werner may have let him go because I think at this stage, Calvin McNish is on a mission to open up some margin.
Well, I think what we're looking at here is that both Alan McNish, both Audis, in fact, and we believe the Penske Porsches will need another stop. You see that GT2 car going for the apex and taking the line away from McNish. So they'll both be on a one-stop for fuel, but the question will be, Audi are saying that they don't want to stretch it to double-stinning these tires. Just, oh, you see him again. This is what the traffic can do to you. Just absolutely murders you in terms of lap time. So the nice cushion that Alan had built up over the Penske Porsches has been erased somewhat by encountering traffic in the wrong spots. Now you see them just in the background. Here they come. So Alan and Nish will be trying to pull a cushion because they'll probably get tires. I have to think the Penskes will once again, as we saw in America, double stint these tires at the end of this race.
Bernard was able to get through fairly smoothly, so he definitely is going to be picking up just a little bit of time with McNish getting balked like that. There's Bernard under the front straight right now, and indeed he was able to take about a half second off just because of that. Now, go back at just a little bit and take a look. Here's the number 15 right there of Diaz. Excuse me, that's Fernandez right now. That car running third in class at this stage, fourth overall. As we hop on board with the Lowe's Acura, and he too is running some traffic, but it is Guy Smith, who is not too far behind him. There is Guy. He's trying to come up. This is going to be a battle for position in the P2 for third in class. Which lights him? You see the other Dyson car just got by Fernandez, but he is a lap down with Werner basically and trying to work their way back up through the pack. So Guy Smith, as you said, Cal, he is quick here.
He really is. He loves this place, and he's really a tremendous fit for this Dyson team. Of course, James Weaver retiring. They were looking for a suitable fit. They just shuffled some guys around. Brought Andy Wallace back into the fold. And Guy Smith looks like he's going to be here for a long time. Rob Dyson really likes the loyalty of all of his crew members and his drivers. If you do a great job for Rob, he will stick around for a long, long time. I think Guy Smith has found a home here.
Telemetry showing him at almost 170. I can say about $168. So that car is getting down that straight very well.
Again, talking about the speed differential, we saw like close to 160 on the GT2 machines, 170 LMP2. We understand about 185 to 190 on the Audis.
Well, the Dyson team, we should also talk about, aside from Guy going, the Dyson team has had some of their greatest success here at Mosport in 04. Butch and James Weaver, you talked about, really surprised the Audi R8 with a win here, but just on raw speed. Chris Dyson in 05 got his first ever pole here. I mean, this team loves Mosport. They really consider it almost, because they're in Poughkeepsie, New York, their second home track.
They do. I mean, even though as Lime Rock's a Bullring is a very fast racetrack as well, just like this one, high-speed corners, great momentum, and they feel at home here. They've had a lot of success, and they're really starting to find their feet with this Porsche chassis. Struggled a little bit after Sebring, just really couldn't find what made the car quicker. They said every change they made it slower. We had a big, thick book of how to make this car go slower, but the improvement guide was very small. But they had a big test middle of the season and made up some ground there and looking in pretty good shape.
All right, now here is the car that is currently fifth in the P2 category. Ben Devlin behind the wheel of the Mazda, running in the Lola chassis, and they are having a very strong run here as well. It's interesting talking to Ben a little earlier in the week and some of the comments he made about trying to hang on to the car through turn 2, and he wasn't talking about keeping the car steady. He was talking about hanging on to the wheel.
That's right, and this is a very young, fit driver, and he said the G-forces that you feel through these long corners is just amazing. He said physically holding on to the car has the grip, the tires have the grip, and he said it really is kind of mind over matter in terms of hanging on and making do. Big understeer there, you see him struggling to get through Moss Corner, a little bit wide, but man, this whole team, Jamie Bucker's team has done a tremendous job. Had a chance to do some testing earlier in the week, and that's really paid dividends. Motor issues at Road America, and in the practice, and then a spin by Ben.
You're P5, he is P6.
But just tremendous potential running with the Kumo tires, and here he's a little bit careful there getting around that GT2 machine. Don't want to throw it away. The key for this team is just to be gaining experience.
And Devlin completing another lap, again working in the top 5 in the P2 category. A great run for this team right now, so kudos to them. Take a look at our leaders in each of the 4 classes. It is McNish, P1 and overall, Bernhard, Magnussen, and Mello in GT2 for the Ferrari. Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Mosport, the American Le Mans Series, at action here at one of the great tracks, certainly in North America, perhaps even the world. Now, every race we give you an epic forgotten fact question, and this one is, the first pro race at Mosport was won by a Lotus, driven by Sir Sterling Moss in 1961. But the actual first race run at the track was won by what type of production car? It's our epic forgotten fact. Think about it. We'll give you the answer just a little bit later on and see if your thoughts tally with the facts. Meanwhile, we're on board with Alan McNish working some traffic, and I think we're in a very fascinating race here right now because of what we've been talking about, the possibility the Audis need tires if the Porsches don't. McNish has opened up about 6 seconds over Bernhard. The question is it enough, and can they get enough?
Well, the first thing is they're going to need more fuel, okay? They don't get the fuel efficiency that the Porsche does, so they're going to need a longer stop for fuel. They're probably going to have to stop before the Porsches. And then the big question is the tires. If we saw what happened at Road America...
How are the tires?
He was asking for some information from Alan McNish on how the tires are feeling, but we'd have to assume from a safety standpoint, once again, we're talking about high downforce here on this Audi, and they're really looking at maybe single stinting throughout this event, so I think that would be a tough call for them to go a double stint. Meanwhile, the Penske's trying to battle through traffic, and remember, these two boys are going to pick the championship battle between each other, so Briscoe would love to get by Bernhard.
Cal, I just checked in with the Penske team. They said, we probably won't double stint them, but I think we've played poker with those guys before, and so I'm not sure I believe what they're saying. Remember, the lighter weight of this RS Spider, the P2 class, wears those tires a lot less. It is a smaller tire, so it does get some abuse around this racetrack. I don't know. My bet is I think they can double stint them.
Well, I think what they'll look at, we believe that the Audi will need to pit first, and then they'll be able to look at the gap that they have, and they'll be able to surmise whether they can afford...
+7, good work. Keep the pressure on them.
Whether they can afford to change tires or not. If they sacrifice the tires and it gains them track position, it gets them into the overall lead, I'm sure they'll roll the dice.
Well, McNish had expanded that margin the last time through to just a tick under 8 seconds. Boy, did he throw down a flyer. McNish at 1:08.1, Bernhard at 1:10.1, and suddenly the margin is 10 seconds. So McNish, as we have hit 1 hour remaining, McNish is absolutely flying. And of course, more of that diesel burns off, the quicker that car should be coming, because he's doing everything he can.
It's going to be fast. Remember the frustration factor. I mean, these boys haven't seen the overall victory since St. Petersburg way back in March, so there's been enormous frustration by Alan McNish and all of the Audi camp for that matter. And you know how competitive Alan McNish is. He loves to win. That's why he drives race cars. Not to compete, but to win. And this has been a big drought in his career.
So as we watch Alan McNish, of course, all of the input in a car goes to the tires, and Andrew Marriott is standing by with our Michelin tire tip. Andrew?
Think about the forces that go through a racing tire. Now, you probably think it's two-dimensional. Obviously, when they're braking very hard, the force is this way. When they're accelerating, it's that way. Of course, when they're cornering, it's this way, or it's that way. But actually, at the high-speed tracks, this is very much a three-dimensional thing. When the cars get up to about 170 miles an hour, that's the prototypes, then you've also got forces coming down on them. You've got huge downforce, and these tires are absolutely pressed in. Now, the Michelin tire engineers work on this, and what they do, they talk very closely to engineers from the car, and they set some very, very fine parameters about the camber settings in particular, and also to come to a high-speed track like this, they also raise the tire pressure by a little bit. So they talk closely to the engineers about the settings of the car and tire pressures, and then that helps these tires live on the high-speed straight of Mosport.
And that's a really good point, Andrew, because they came off the fastest track that we run on at Road America, where they're sustaining those type of speeds 3 times a lap. Here we see problems there for Fernandez, damage to that dive plane. That will take downforce away. But getting back to the Audi situation, they saw sustained speeds in excess of 300 kilometers an hour, about 185 plus. And what it means is it really forces those tires down in order to use the tires. What they've done here is stood the tires up, less negative camber, also increased tire pressure as well to try and alleviate any kind of problems.
And that is not his. That came off of the 12 car. Watch it here. It looks like he just takes him, Cal.
He does. Very close quarters there coming through turn 9. Took the winglet away, so maybe he didn't lose a dive plane. Maybe he added one.
Yeah, he's got more downforce. The concern is, of course, if that comes off and gets underneath his tire or comes off, gets underneath somebody else's tire.
It's okay,
this is
keep going.
not for position. That's Fernandez, and Guy Smith has caught him, and obviously that may be affecting the handling on that Lola for Fernandez, and Smith has wasted little time in coming after him. We were talking earlier about Dyson and getting to grips with the Porsche. When I talked to Robin Limerock, he said the car is phenomenal. There's no question, the best car they've ever owned. He said, but it is so technical and finicky.
It's a piece of bodywork that's just stuck on your left front nose. The nose looks okay pretty much, except for that piece stuck on there. We're just hoping it'll blow off. I don't know, a curb might knock it off too. I hope so.
Adrian probably cannot see that down there, so the team are trying to feed him the information as to what's going on. They're saying if you run over the curb, maybe you can knock it loose, but he will certainly be concerned. The last thing he wanted to do is to come loose and come underneath the car, potentially damage the underfloor tray, or even cut a tire. So certainly a concern. I'm not sure it'll be really affecting the performance that much, but getting back to the Dyson situation, talking to Peter Weston, the engineer, he said it's like going from a 3x3 Rubik's Cube to a 6x6. It's just very complex.
Oh, and here we go. Smith taking a look at 2. Not going to get it done there. And the one thing I was wondering, he said, if maybe a curb can knock it off. I don't know how many curbs are on the left side of this track that you want to be hitting and knocking something off. 2?
Yeah,
no.
that's right.
4? No.
I think he's just going to live with it and try and just pull it out on their pit stop, which I'm sure they're going to need to make a quick one for a splash of fuel before the end of this if we stay green. So Adrian Fernandez doing a great job. This team rebounding from a massive crash that Adrian had. He's not sure what happened. He came through turn 8, which is the next corner that he's going to encounter, that fast right-hander. He's just completing turn 8, just lost the back end of the car. Massive damage. Fortunately, mainly bodywork, not chassis or structural, so the team were able to repair the car and get him out for the next morning. This is the corner we're talking about, turn 8. Right here is where they've been struggling with the car, and that's exactly where he lost it, right there.
You can see that's where Smith, they're still obviously struggling a bit because Smith made up a ton of ground and is now all over him once again, flashing the lights, trying to psych him. That's interesting. Now traffic might play a role here. That is the 73 Taplow car. Nope, let's Fernandez go and let Smith go.
You're just doing everything you can to just distract the guy in front of you, just take him off his game a little bit. You flash the lights, the guy will look in his mirror, what was that? And maybe he nipped by the other side. But Adrian Fernandez is a very experienced driver. He's competed at every level and won at every level, and he knows what he's doing.
Give you an idea of how cool a customer Adrian is. His first time ever at Le Mans, he puts the P2 car he was driving on pole. That says something right there, because that is not a track that's easily done on. So Fernandez doing everything he can right now to try and keep Smith behind him. Smith conversely doing everything he can to try and get by.
Go a lap down if we pit early. You're making decent lap times. Let's see how it goes, Adrian. We'll hang in there a little longer.
Got about 3 lengths up, but here it just disappears again when they turn in there. That was the radio, the crew talking to Adrian and saying, you're running okay, let's just let you stay out.
I think what Adrian is asking, they're 53 minutes to go. They should be in their window. If they stop now, they'd get to the finish. But the team is saying if we do that, we will immediately go down a lap, and that really hurts you from a strategy standpoint. So they're observing the lap time. There you see Guy Smith ducking and diving, trying to distract him, thinking of a way through. It's really like a chess game.
And Clint Field, they're doing a nice job. You can see Clint look in the mirror, realize there were 2 cars coming, not one, and stayed out and let them both slide through. So Fernandez continues to hang on to that 3rd spot here in the P2 category. As they're up into Moss Hairpin. Now, we posed that question to you. Obviously, Sterling Moss won the first pro race, but the actual first race run at the track was won by what type of production car? A Corvette. So Corvette's history at Mosport continues for a long time. Couldn't have been Fellows.
He's good. Oh, sorry, Ron.
I didn't hurt. And Doug sensed that too. All right. There are your 4 class leaders. McNish drawn away out front. Welcome back, everybody. You're looking at Alan McNish, the overall race leader, and he is in clear traffic. He's running a second to a second and a half faster than Bernard in clear traffic, and the margin is now just a little over 16 seconds as McNish trying to build any kind of margin he can, and the 15 of Fernandez is in. Andrew?
I'm here. You can see that piece quite clearly that the car collected, and it has damaged the dive planes as well. As you can see, the boys are going to do their regular fueling and servicing first, and they obviously can't pull that off until all the fueling is done. But it has, I can see quite clearly, damaged the dive planes, and it is absolutely speared on the front of the car. I would have thought it would have given it quite a bit more downforce, actually. Now you see that piece coming off, and it doesn't want to come off. It really was. I know they're getting a bit of feet in there. They didn't expect that. I think they thought it was going to come off straight away. And just the forces you see as it was hit, collected probably almost 280 miles an hour. Absolutely massive. It's going to come off in the end. But look at that. Finally, it's come off. Look.
Andrew, get your Air Marriotts in there, mate.
Okay, drop it. Go.
There's the piece. There's our ferret.
Boy, that thing was wedged on incredibly hardly at this stage, so it's off. So Fernandez back out. And I thought he did a pretty good job of just hanging in there for a little bit, but it was obviously hurting him as Smith went by and Devlin was catching him. Let's show you how Guy Smith was able to get by, and he was trafficked to perfection.
Here we see it coming down into turn 1. Adrian does not get the run through there, and Guy just ducks to the inside, out-accelerates Adrian down to the next corner and around the outside of the 12 machine. Same car that Adrian had problems with in turn 9.
Maybe if Adrian would have hit him, he could have given it back to him. Meanwhile, the 33 is in. Brian?
Andy Pilgrim brings the 33 in. Ron Fellows, perhaps, we don't know, but perhaps this might be the last time that Ron Fellows pilots a GT1 Corvette around Mosport. The mayor of Mosport, as we call him, and these will be some emotional laps, especially at the checkered flag. Getting strapped in right now. Ron Fellows, the car dropped, tires are on, belts being done up, window net going on, and Ron Fellows will head back onto the track.
I'll tell you what, you just know that when this one's over and Ron is on his cool-down lap waiting for the fans are going to go berserk.
There's a cool color scheme, actually very similar to Johnny O'Connell's helmet color scheme in some ways, with a pearl white. And the good news is, though, well, we have to get back to that Johnny O'Connell helmet thing, as you pointed out, Greg. A, it was a free helmet, and he didn't want to spend any money in painting the thing, so he found some contact paper. And
right, and he also confided to me once that when he was an instructor at Sears, he used to go to the tire walls and get tires for his car. So, you know. Of course, now that was early in his career, didn't have a lot of income coming in, so you do what you have to do.
Yeah, but I don't think he's changed. I really don't.
Well, force of habit?
Yeah, pretty frugal.
All right, here we go. We have the Porsches coming in. Here is the 6. Briscoe is in.
Briscoe on his marks, fuel going in. The tires being set out right now, interestingly enough. Looks like scrub tires, not sticker tires, will go on. A lot of teams feel that scrubs are a little bit better. They'll be more consistent throughout the run. Some teams going with stickers that are very fast right off the bat. Fall off a bit more. The fuel is in. Tires going on. We talked about how fast these pit stops can be. Remember, a little shorter wheelbase on this Porsche RS Spyder. Fuel is done. Tires, and Briscoe's away.
Well, again, we have to think about strategy here. Maybe Penske are splitting their strategies here, bringing Ryan in, maybe keep Timo out. The thing you have to be careful with, if you try and extend your run here, if you get a yellow and the pits are closed, that can really hurt you. So once you get in your window where you know right now that Ryan Briscoe can get to the end of this race without any drama, certainly good on fuel, he could be in good shape. If there is a yellow and the other guys get stuck behind the pace car, their advantage will be gone.
I want the tank.
Now, the last time by, McNish had ballooned it to almost 20 seconds. That last lap, though, Bernard threw down a 1:07.7 and took 2 seconds back as McNish got bottled up a little bit. The margin now just a little over 17.5 seconds. McNish over Bernard.
I think this will be enough.
Just remember, stay on your side of the car, yeah? Don't come back.
Those were directions to the crew. They're given, I think, it's Harvey James, the engineer, on the radio, talking to the whole team there, not just Alan McNish, about what they're going to do in this pit stop. But with that sort of margin, 17 seconds, yes, they may need a little bit more fuel than Penske. Even if they do tyres, and the other Penske, the 7 car, does not, I think that should be enough to maintain the lead.
We're giving you
McNish is in.
Alan McNish, the long run down pit road to his marks here, brings it to a stop. Fueler inserts the hose, and the fuel is now flowing. We'll time it once again and see how much fuel they're going to take this time. Looks like sticker tires. It'll be sticker tires going on the number 1 Audi right now, so a different tire strategy. The 7 car flashes by the front straightaway. McNish takes his drink bottle. Fuel still going in. Crew waiting considerably longer to get the fuel in. He's out. That was 23.2 seconds worth of fuel. Now the tire's going on. Left side tires only. McNish away. 30.2 seconds on the entire stop. Left side tires only on the number 1 Audi.
Now there's a bit of interesting strategy at this point. That change.
I think they're in good shape. The key right there was they needed to beat the 6 car out, because now the 6 car and the 1 car will have done their final pit stops. And there you see, we saw Alan McNish going through turn 2. Well, meanwhile, Briscoe now entering turn 1. So he's ahead of one of the Penskes in terms of the overall strategy for the race. The key will be, what do Penske do with the 7 car? Do they roll the dice, try and keep Timo Bernhard out there a little bit longer and try and stretch that margin? Or do they bring him in now and not take tires? So we've got the best in the business, the Audi camp going up against Team Penske. It doesn't get any better than this.
Watching that telemetry, did you see that? The entry speed as they turned in to 2 for Briscoe was 158 miles an hour. Unbelievable the speed these P2 cars carried through there.
Ryan Briscoe, what a start this young man is. I mean, Penske brought him on board this year. Also did a satellite team for him at Indianapolis where he had a great run. And there's still a lot of conjecture for next year. If Sam Hornish does make the move to NASCAR, will this man be back in a P2 machine, or will he assume that role in the IRL? Either way, Penske very happy with the performance that he's put in. 3 victories this year for he and Sasha Masson, 7 for the team, 4 for Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas.
Very impressive indeed. So I want to remind you to check out the enhanced ALMS coverage on SpeedTV.com. Photo galleries, bonus video footage, interviews, and team reports, and in-depth news and analysis on SpeedTV.com. Bernhard now in the P2 and overall lead. McNish in P1. Magnussen and Mello. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. Welcome back, everybody. You are looking at the overall race leader and the P2 leader here at the Grand Prix of Mosport. Timo Bernhard, the number 7 DHL Global Male Penske Porsche Spyder. And he leads the margin about 26 seconds over McNish, but he yet needs to stop, and McNish has been running anywhere from a half second to a second quicker, usually in clear traffic. So that is going to be very interesting when the number 7 car decides to pit. Now in the GT2 category, you're riding on board with the race leader in GT2. Now Jamie Mello behind the wheel of the Risi Ferrari, number 62. And of course, by virtue of all the developments and that early yellow and the like, that car has a nice lead of a lap plus at this stage. The team car, the number 61, now in the hands of Jimmy Bruni, is now in second space. So those 2 Risi cars running 1-2, and another good run by the Rahal Letterman Porsche, now turned over to Ralph Kellner's, who is very quick. And Kellner's 6th, 3rd in class. And I think we got to give a shout to a guy named Peter Dumbrecht, who is now the driver for the rest of the year, one of the drivers for the 31. and doing a nice job on a track he's never raced before. That's tough. Here's the 61 car, and Bruni suffering a little bit earlier in the weekend, and it's been a tough go for him, but he said he felt a lot better here on race day, and what a time for him to come good.
Well, he's had some stomach problems, so he's not only been fast on the racetrack, but he came into the pits, he's pretty fast in getting to the restroom as well. Right, Thursday and Friday, so we laugh about it, but when you're trying to be out there, and what they're doing, they put him on an IV drip and putting a quart and a half of saline back into his body, so he was really dehydrated there for a couple of days, and it was really a surprise to the doctors that he was able to be out there and running competitive lap times when they did an inspection on him, so to speak.
Now that's Werner, who's trying to just stay with it and work back through the pack, so he's coming up, and here comes the 7 of Bernard. Just toss a tear off, I think. Yes. And he gets by Kellner's. Again, a great drive by the Ray Hall Letterman Bell Micro car, white there. They really have had they've really come alive here in the latter half of the season here in that CDA machine. So Kellner's, as I said, very fast, and a nice job.
Done a tremendous job. 2 podium finishes, but it could have been so much more. Earlier in the season, they were in good shape, and Tom Milner had a couple of problems, but he's put that behind him. What I'd love to see is that the team have remained confident in young Tom Milner, kept him in that squad. Now they're starting to see the results once again. A lot of experience behind that team, led by Jimmy Prescott, who's been with Bobby Rahal and that team for like 18, 20 years. So just great experience, and they're really putting in a tremendous performance here today.
Whistling down into turn 4, that very, very quick fall-away left-hander at this part of the track, and then into Moss.
You see one of the Corvettes, that's the number 4 car, which is currently running second in the class, so they've had a lot of momentum too. We talk about the momentum of the Penske squad. Well, this number 4 car of Ollie Gavin and Olivier Beretta, they've been on the roll this year, 6 victories. But we saw Ollie get clobbered there early in the going, and just trying to rebound. Currently running second in class. Johnny O'Connell currently leads, and the other yellow vet, Ron Fellows, in 3rd position in class.
There's the number 44, the second of the Flying Lizard entries. That car currently 7th in class. Lonnie Pechnik behind the wheel right now. That's the Shortell entry, the player Shortell entry, and these guys, obviously, you know, Lonnie, Seth, and the gang, they aren't the full-out professional drivers, but doing a very solid job in that car and continue to perform them.
Got team is superb. They really have a lot of great engineering there, Greg. And also next week at the Detroit Street Race, in fact, we're going to have Darren Law back behind the wheel and be joined by Porsche factory driver Pat Long, so that'll be a formidable combination there at Detroit next weekend.
There is the team car, Van Overbeck behind the wheel, 5th in class right now after that long penalty. Here are your class leaders. It's going to be interesting between the P2 and P1. Tonight on Speed, go beyond the highlights and beyond the stats as Speed connects you to the world of motorsports like you've never been and experienced before. The Speed Report tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on Speed. We are on board with the leader, Alan McNish, as the number 7 has made its stop, and McNish was able to get through. The 7 did take 4 tires, so we'll see how that shakes out. At the time of the stop, he said McNish had built up enough of a margin that he was able to clearly get through, and there is McNish leading. Now, interestingly, 2nd overall leading in the G2 right now. Got to make a mention for Ben Devlin in that Road and Track Mazda. Just a great effort by that team. There he is, 2nd overall right now. Talk about a program that you said, Calvin, no quit in it. You've got to give a lot of credit to Mazda because they have not given up on this program.
There's going to be some big smiles right now down in the BK Motorsports paddock area because this is unbelievable. Talk about going up against the big boys, the Andretti Greens of the world, the Penskes, and they'll need another pit stop. He won't maintain this lead, but right now, he is in the leading class. Just sensational.
Here's number 2, Werner. He is in. He's 2nd in P1, but is 6th overall right now.
Werner sits in the car. Fuel going in right now, and they will take tires. We talked about the fact that Audi does not want to risk double stinting these tires around this very high-speed Mosport circuit. Fuel going in right now.
3, 2, 1, go!
Obviously, a timed stop on the fuel, but almost 28 seconds worth of fuel they took, and they will take 4 tires as opposed to the number 1, which took the left side tires only. All 4 Michelins are on. Down 41.5 seconds on the stop, so considerably slower than his teammate. And number 7, Penske, is in just a short time ago.
All right, now we want to go back because we did have the tape rolling while we were in break. And here is the stop for Bernhard. Listen to the radio.
Tires, Timo. New tires.
They've already decided they're not going to be able to keep the lead. Here's McNish, meanwhile. He's now taking the lead as the Penske sits on pit road. There it is. So the fueling was just done there. Now they're going to tires. So even if they didn't take tires, they wouldn't have kept the lead. Hear them say, Timo, we can do it. The key is now is the class battle. Can he beat Ryan Briscoe out here and then get this car up to speed with tire temp and pressure?
Ryan was down there timing that stop, set 7 seconds quicker than McNish. So they made that up, but...
Well, position, you are P4. You are P3 in class. Copy?
They're talking to Bernhard right there, telling him he's 4th overall, 3rd in class. And he has reeled in Brian Herta, that black and blue XM Satellite Acura. This is 4th position.
Must be ready.
Well, this is tight, this is tough. Look at Ryan Briscoe coming.
Oh, it's a squeeze play. They may have touched now. That is going to give Herta the outside, and it worked, and the Porsche's got bottled by the Ferrari. He's going to force his way through. Bernhard does so. Now Briscoe's going to follow suit. But for Calvin, it looked like Herta was going to lose the spot. Instead, he ended up getting a lot of ground out of that.
Just used one of those GT cars as a pick there. Great job by Brian Herta maintaining the lead. Actually maintaining 2nd place. Of course, Ben Devlin's still out front in class. So Herta keeps the position. But great patience there by both Timo Bernhard and Ryan Briscoe. There you see Timo sideways off Moss corner. Can Briscoe take advantage?
I think it was a great effort by Herta to maintain composure.
Yeah.
Through there, and Devlin from 2nd overall in the P2 lead brings the Mazda in. Just an incredible story. Andrew, they have been amazing.
Absolutely amazing, and Ben's just left the pits now. They only took 20 seconds of fuel. That AER engine developed for Mazda is working superbly. Not a problem with the car, and this is just, we didn't expect this, but what a great job they've done. And Ben Devlin, you have to ask Calvin about his dad's cafe, because he ate there many times.
Yes, we did. We've mentioned it before, but Ben's father is Ed Devlin. He owned a cafeteria near Snetterton Racing, and every day we'd meet down there, all the drivers, all the crews. So Ben was brought up around racing, and he certainly loves it, as does his dad.
He just saw Werner fast lap, new fast lap, a 6.5, a 106.5. That is booking. And Devlin came out in full defense right over Guy Smith and trying to hang on to the position here as they push it over the back straight. Mazda just in front of that Dyson Porsche. And he's looking, not going to get it. Brian?
Well, you guys saw that drama out of the
left rear tire only.
You hear the radio from the crew here at Penske Racing. Pit this lap for Ryan Briscoe. That drama out there, all that wheel-to-wheel racing has created a problem. They think they've cut down a left rear tire. They obviously are seeing it on the telemetry. You don't want a left rear going down around this place, especially through those high-speed right-hand corners. They'll bring him in, they'll change that left rear.
Left rear tire only.
That will cost him dearly. Left rear tire only. The stop won't take long at all.
Brian, we're only going to change the left rear, so when they drop it, you can go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
John Erickson on the radio there, counting him in.
Yeah, damage to the left rear wheel. The wheel is broken. That's what's causing it to go down. It is broken. Left rear on and away, but that wheel broken. Good call by this Penske team.
They picked up on it and serviced him as effectively as you possibly can. Just that tire, and he is gone. Now, I want to remind you, the next round of the American Le Mans Series is next week. The Detroit Sports Car Challenge presented by Bosch Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Speed. Do not miss it. This championship is fascinating. We'll be right back to Mosport. Just under 25 minutes remaining here at the Grand Prix of Mosport. 9th round of the American Le Mans Series. You ride on board with race leader overall in P1, Alan McNish in the Audi TDI R10. Right behind him is Herta. Now, Herta had pitted. Remember, he had been sitting in that top spot after Devlin's pit and was fending off those Porsches. He pitted, so now Timo Bernhard is second overall, leading in P2. Briscoe, even with that stop, is now back up to second in P2 and third overall. Now, a little bit more of an update on that stop and the incident with number 6. Brian?
Guys, we talked about a broken wheel when it came in, and we got some pictures of it. There's a lip that runs around the outside of the wheel. Obviously, it holds the bead. There's a look at it. You can see that that wheel is broken. It's broken enough that the air seeps out, and even though the driver can't feel it, these teams have telemetry that being back to the pits, the tire pressures. They saw that pressure going down. They got him in. They got that tire changed. The good thing, without that telemetry, Ryan Briscoe wouldn't have known that tire was going down until, guess when? Too late.
That's a hairy situation to be in around this racetrack in particular. So, meanwhile, they did an awesome pit stop, got Ryan back on the racetrack. He has assumed second place in class and third overall. So that's a great job by the Penske boys in recognizing that situation and getting it fixed quickly.
You know, I think that's something to say about technology. Some people decry certain technologies and say it's taking away from this and that. That's one that has absolutely been a godsend.
Works on street cars. Again, a lot of this technology that is being developed in a racing machine then transfers over to your regular street car. A number of street cars these days do have those tire pressure sensors as well. Let's listen.
Now, first going to jump back to this battle. We've been kind of following it, and it is a good one. Ben Devlin in the Mazda sits 5th right now. And right in front of Guy Smith. He's sitting 6th in class in the Dyson Porsche, and he was able to stay in front, and now he's been able to get around some traffic. But Dyson, when he is able to run clear laps, gathers him back up again. This has been a great battle for that 5th spot in the P2 category.
It really has been a tremendous battle. Guy Smith currently behind the wheel of the 20 machine, but Ben Devlin done a tremendous job. We understand from Andrew Merritt, all he took was fuel from tires, so he's double stinted those Kumos. And here we see the other Dyson entry of Leitzinger on pit road as well, taking fuel. Be surprised if they took tires this late in the game.
You're good.
Now, he had been up in 4th in class. Leitzinger, by virtue of being sort of out of sequence on things, that's going to drop him off a little bit. So Devlin should then assume the 4th spot, and Smith will pick up 5th in the category in P2, which will drop off just a little bit. They sort of got caught out in the same scenario that Werner did, and they've just been trying to work their way back into things. Werner has turned another 106, this one a 106 down. So in clear traffic, that Audi is still mighty quick.
It's flying. Here comes Ben Devlin down in that very fast turn 8. You told me earlier in the week they've actually been testing some different turbos, which gives it a lot better throttle response and pickup off the corners, which didn't work here, but they really feel it's going to be strong at Detroit on that street circuit. They've also got some different tires coming as well. They went to a wider tire at Road America, back to the narrow one here, but a new tire coming from Kumo next week as well, so they've got their really high hopes for next weekend's performance.
Well, there's no doubt that that Mazda in the back of that thing with the help from AER and just getting the package to work is very quick in a straight line, and they've been obviously developing it otherwise as well, so very impressive.
Remember at Salt Lake City when he got out the front of the pack, I mean, no one could touch him down the straightaway, so that Mazda engine has tremendous power.
Yeah, he rattled Roman just a little bit there, didn't he? All right, so things have settled just a little bit. Devlin's got some room. McNish now back in the lead in P1 and overall. Bernhard in the Porsche in P2. O'Connell in the Vet in GT1. Mello in the Ferrari in GT2. Right on board again with Alan McNish in the Audi R10 TDI, #1, leading overall here at the Grand Prix of Mosport. Timo Bernhard in the Penske Porsche is second overall, leading in Q2, but the margin, some 26+ seconds last time by. Now 25 and a half as Bernhard got a little quicker lap in. McNish caught in some traffic, but the other number that's the magic one is the one up on top of the screen. 17 and a half minutes to go, 26 seconds. I don't know.
Well, you have to think about how many times has Alan McNish been in this position? Many, many times, but this one is special because it's been a long time, so these last few minutes here are going to feel like an eternity to Alan McNish.
Sorry, Cal, but I just saw in the background there the car of Herta got squeezed by the 61 of Rooney. He dropped on that straight, dropped 2 wheels in the dirt as they came through there as he's just trying to stay in touch. And you're absolutely right. It's a pure numbers game right now. The McNish, in the clear track, he's in the 107s, and on the clear track, Bernhard's in the 107s. I just don't know that if everything is as it is now, time is going to be in McNish's favor on this one. And now they only took those one set of tires.
Exactly, and then we saw 21 victories for Alan McNish, so he's used to visiting victory lane. He won here last year with Dindo Capello. He won back in 2000 as well, so it would be sweet. It would be his third, Dindo's fourth, but when you haven't won one in a while,
keep the pressure up.
You need to stay in the rhythm. Yes, he wants to ease off, not take any chances, but from a racing driver's perspective, you're best to push hard and then just be careful in traffic, not take any chances there, but keep the rhythm, keep the 100% focus through the rest of the lap.
Alan, 29.4 seconds to P2, 16 minutes remain.
You heard that jump in the times, and in looking at the last lap times, McNish did a 108.1, Bernhard in traffic a 111.9. And that's the kind of thing that will just destroy it. Yep.
Quiet this engine is. The drivers say when you get up above third or fourth gear, the wind noise exceeds the noise of that diesel, so it's quite a strange sensation, and when drivers get in this car for the first time, it is quite an adjustment.
By the way, we just give you a quick update, the number 4 Corvette of Ollie Gavin, the CompuWare entry, right there just was in and out of the pits, and that puts the number 3 Corvette of Johnny O'Connell back behind the wheel, and he is now in the lead. And here's the 61, second place Gt2 Ferrari of Bruni making a quick stop. The team car, the leader, did just a splash and go while we were in break, I believe.
Splash of fuel there. You see one thing they are allowed to do during these pit stops while the refueling is going is clean the windshield or take that tear off. Another thing they can do is have the brake and tire inspectors come out, the technicians come out and inspect the tires and the brakes without touching the cars. But a driver change can be done and the windshield may be clean.
I think the bigger concern...
Emergency mode, hold for 1 second. Emergency mode, hold for 1 second.
You're right on board with McNish, but look what happened here just a moment ago, Cal and Moss.
Hard on the power. 800 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, he's got a traction control knob. He can turn. These tires are wearing down a little bit. You may need to crank on that thing a little bit. Get a little bit
Alan,
more
you have
interrupt.
to continue on emergency. Continue on emergency. Shift using the clutch.
And the number 18, third in the GT2 category, Ralph Kellner, is the Rahal Letterman Porsche. Ducked into the pits. He ducked into the pits and is back out. Everybody just doing their sort of safety splash and go if they're in a position to be somewhat comfortable with it here.
We're hearing that there may be a gearbox issue on Alan McNish's car, so we heard. So we're just trying to clarify that. We may have some miscommunication here on which car has got the problem.
Well, the last time he went by was a minute 12.9, so almost a minute 13, Cal.
Okay, well, some kind of issue going on, and if it is a gearbox issue, we heard the emergency stay in emergency mode, so I'm not sure what that means, but we talk about it, trying to get it to the finish line. This would be really a tough one to bear to lose it at this stage of the game for Alan McNish and the whole Audi squad.
And here's the battle right now. Category Devlin over Smith. Smith has wheeled it back in again as they work away. Some traffic there in the Corvette. It is still Devlin. Right?
Let's check in with the Audi North America squad. Indeed, a shifting problem right now for Alan McNish. So he's going to have to try to nurse this thing to the end, but he can't nurse it too much because obviously he's got a bunch of guys breathing down his neck. So what started out as a great day they're hoping can end up as one. But right now, they're chasing problems and trying to hold on.
Right now, he's got a 22-second lead and about 12 minutes to go, so that will equate to, a number of laps here. He can't afford to lose 3 or 4 seconds a lap to the rest of the field. That lead will be gone.
And his last lap was a 1:11.4. Bernhard's a 1:08.9. So it's close. Here's the top 4 in P1. McNish out front and overall, but maybe in trouble. This Labor Day weekend, the cars and the stars of the American Le Mans Series turn Detroit's Belle Isle Park into a gear-grinding, tire-shredding, all-or-nothing Motor City battlefield. The American Le Mans Series from Michigan, Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, only on Speed. You're on board with Ron Fellows, but at the sharp end of things, Alan McNish continues to lead. But, Brian Till, we understand there is indeed a problem.
Yeah, Greg, it seems that there's some type of potentially an electrical problem. What's happening right now is that the computer won't shift for Alan when he pulls the paddles back with the gas pedal all the way down on the floor, and that shift without lift is not working. So he's got to go to what they call emergency mode, and that's what you heard on the radio, the team saying, use the emergency, use the emergency. What that means is he has to literally lift his foot off the gas, put his foot on the clutch, pull the handle on the shift lever on the paddle, and it will go ahead and shift. But that way he has to coordinate everything just like you used to have to do in the olden days when Calvin and I drove, but it's still using the paddles on the back of the gear shift. So a signal being lost somewhere in the computer system, not allowing you to shift normally.
14.4 seconds to P2, 9 minutes remain.
Right there, what you're looking at is a number on the dash what Alan McNish is seeing from a gear selection standpoint. So that does seem to be flashing, but whether it's actually changing gear or some kind of electronic malfunction there, it's tough to tell from this look.
Well, that might well explain Alan's moment down in Moss. His last lap, a 1:11.4. Bernhard's a 1:08.5, and 8 minutes 40 remaining. Want to remind you once again, this Labor Day weekend, the cars and the stars of the American Le Mans Series are going to turn Detroit's Belle Isle Park into a gear-grinding, tire-shredding, all-or-nothing Motor City battlefield. The American Le Mans Series from Michigan, Saturday, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, only on Speed. And we are in the midst of huge drama here. McNish had just apparently figured things out. It turned to 109. Then we heard a radio call in break that it's stuck in gear. It's stuck in 4th gear. He has just turned to 114. And you can see the crew very concerned about what's going on. And we're going to take you back to a replay, and you can listen to what happened for McNish. And he is losing time now by the bucket. Look how slow he is coming out of Moss. Right here, this is live. This is not the replay, folks. This is live. Again, struggling. But if he's stuck in 4th, it's going to take even with that torque count a while.
The main switch completely off. Wait 2 seconds, then back on.
Work with the ignition system, and here you see Ben Devlin fly by him. So this is significant. You can tell that Alan McNish has a wounded car right now. A moment ago, he said it was stuck in 4th. They said cycle the ignition. He did that. He slowed dramatically down the back straightaway. But right now, Alan McNish is barely hanging on. Timo Bernhard is going to be on his tail shortly unless he can find the speed once again.
2.2 seconds. McNish over Bernhard. Oh, this will be a heartbreaker, almost in a way shades of 2000, as it was a big moment as Capello on rooted rain tires was under attack from J.J. Leto in the BMW. He held on, but I don't know here. Look how close. First.
There's the leader. There's Timo Bernhard.
It's that close. Oh, my. 4.5 minutes to go, Cal.
This is where he has the problems, Greg, coming off this corner. Doesn't seem that he can accelerate. Here we go. Timo Bernhard just blows right by him. This is going to be for the win. Unbelievable. Audi. The drought continues unless something dramatic happens here in the last 4 or 5 minutes.
Look at the faces in the Audi camp. They cannot believe it. They have been on the radio to Alan. Cycle the ignition. Try this, do that. And just nothing. The gearbox, massive problems, robbing McNish of speed by the bucketful. Here we go. Officially, Bernhard across the line, your new leader.
Remember at the top of the show, we talked about the big momentum that Penske has. Is Audi's spirit broken? Well, if it wasn't before today, think about this one. This is a crushing moment in the race.
Just unbelievable. Actually, Belle Isle, one of the smoother, but nonetheless tight circuit. When Acuras are excited about running, you know the Porsches are. Just unbelievable. When they get to the traction of their strength, not even happening for them there. And Bernard.
Our P1 overall. P1.
On board with Briscoe, and that is McNish right in front of him.
Seems like once he gets a little bit of speed going, that torque kicks in off the corner. He's obviously stuck in a middle gear, third or fourth gear, I'd imagine, for Alan McNish. He can't get the lower gears, but he's able to get the higher gears, I'd imagine. Look at the speed that he showed there at the end of the straightaway. But when he comes off Moss Corner, the only slow corner we have here, this is kind of medium speed. He's probably going to struggle a little bit off here onto the front straightaway. Not quite as dramatic, but Moss Corner coming up on that ready straightaway.
P1.
Now you hear John Erickson talking Briscoe through this situation. P1 on fuel, I'd imagine, is full rich. Go for it. Try and chase down this Audi.
I remember when Bernard made the stop, he listened in on the radio. That's not what McNish needs. He needs to carry speed, and so close. But he was able to get through. But look at McNish come back, not giving up. When he gets back in the power band and all that torque, he's able to do something with it at that point. But
it's tight.
Now being very careful, and this is where it's going to kill him.
This is where the team, Penske needs to tell Briscoe about that, because he's going to run right up the back of
Map
him.
Map P, we got to save some fuel.
Yeah, he thought he was braking. I'm surprised that the Penske team did not tell him. And now Alan McNish comes back because the Penske team knows that Alan McNish is slow off that corner. And I would have thought they would have alerted Briscoe to that. He nearly ran up the gearbox. So they told him to switch the fuel map back to saving fuel, which is map P. And meanwhile, Alan McNish takes the position back. So a minute and a half to go. We're probably going to see this lap and one more.
Yeah, so McNish, but here you go again. He just can't get the drive off the turn. There's the report, 2 more laps, and there goes Briscoe. And this time enough to run that I don't know that he's going to be able to get through down that backstretch. We'll have to see.
Checked in with Audi again, guys, and it's gotten worse, as you suspected. Only a couple of gears now working in that gearbox, and you can see it in the slower portions of the racetrack. Just does not have the drive. Without first, second, and third gear, he's a sitting duck. Once that Audi gets up to speed, it's all well and good, but out of the slow corners, he's in big trouble.
Well, these gearboxes typically do about 6,000 miles. Remember, they're 6,000 kilometers, they're designed for Le Mans. They did have a pinion bearing go on the number 2 machine in the practice session of Road America, and that's where he gets killed. He's in that higher gear. He has no acceleration off that low-speed corner, and that's where he just gets driven away by.
And you know, I was going to say, when we saw Bernard's pit, we listened to the radio, you know now why they were saying, you can do it, Timo, we can do it. Obviously, they needed some help. And there's the signal, last lap. Now they're able to say, take it easy, Timo. He's just got to get around this one more time. McNish still in the lead in P1, obviously, but oh boy, some traffic affecting things here as well.
Timo Bernard, the overall leader there in the yellow Penske machine, trying to weave his way through. He's got a very fast car in front of him, Ben Devlin. He's probably not going to fight for that position. He's got a healthy lead right now, 15 seconds. Just get it to the checkered flag. What a day for these boys. This will be their 5th class victory. And an amazing... Oh, Devlin's off course. Guy Smith, this is going to be for position. Guy Smith all over the gearbox of Ben Devlin.
Devlin trying to hang on. This is for 5th class. And I was wondering, Fernandez in the mix. Coming up, taking a run now. Couldn't get it done. And for Devlin, the good news is Bernard went by, so the checker will come out, and he won't have to deal with Smith and Fernandez for 1 point left.
That's a great point, because he got... Oh! Looked like the Dyson car was getting tagged there by Fernandez in the last corner. Very close.
Boy.
Listen to the kudos, the checker out. Devlin ends up with a 4th in P2 after actually leading the class for a while. But Bernard wins it overall. McNish in P1. O'Connell in GT1 and Mello in the Ferrari in GT2. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura, Acura Advance, and by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil. The 9th round of the American Le Mans Series, the Grand Prix of Mosport, complete, a race filled with late race drama and dismay, no doubt, for the Audi camp. But you take a look at what was achieved at the front end once again. Porsche, Penske, and that team, unbelievable what they have continued to do. And you can see here are the results, top 6 in the P2 category. Penske won 2. Then again, a great performance by the Andretti Green team. Let's get down to Brian Till, who was no doubt with an elated and surprised couple of drivers.
Timo Bernhard, Romain Dumas, 5 wins, 8 for Porsche on the season, 5 overall victories for you guys too. Spectacular job today. I know luck played a part of it, but you guys were awesome in traffic. How intense was the traffic out there, Timo?
Oh, it was so hard at the end. I mean, normally we planned that he goes back in the car. So when they say pit now, I thought I had a relief, but no, I had to stay in the car. And it was very hard in the traffic. This is a high-speed circuit, so it's very physical and mentally. And also due to the traffic, and you know, normally we said we don't overtake on the outside, but you had to, otherwise we couldn't stay in front. And I'm very happy for Porsche, Penske, the RS Spider was perfect.
Congratulations, guys. Fantastic job.
Wow, 3rd straight overall win. 5 wins, obviously, and Romain Dumas and Bernhard now in front, 21 points clear of their teammates Briscoe and Maassen, and then Brabham and Johansson back in 3rd. So obviously Penske Porsche looking mighty strong. Now let's take a look at the results in the P1 class. McNish and Capello did in fact hold on for their 7th win over their teammates. Then the 2 creation judges. Let's get back down, this time to Andrew.
Alan, motor racing could be a cruel business.
Yeah, obviously today the race was in our pocket with about 10 minutes to go, and had a problem with the gear shift. Don't know why, don't know what. It's not something that we've ever had an issue with before, so I'm sure they'll look into it and find out the reason. But that meant that the Porsche got past me and we finished 2nd. Disappointing, because I think we had the car to win. The Audi was very, very strong. We had a good balance with the car, tyres stayed well, and then we were in commanding position.
Well, you just can't win one this year.
No, we've won 2 this year. The big one, Sebring, and then we won St. Pete's. Don't worry, there's 3 races to go. We'll come back.
You can tell there that Alan McNish is feisty. I mean, he's extremely disappointed. They've come so close. They should have won the last 2 races on speed, Greg, but they just can't seem to catch a break right now.
Nonetheless, 7 P1 wins, and here are your points. So they do have the championship locked up pretty nicely there. Now let's take a look at GT1 and the results here. O'Connell Magnuson get the win after the incident early for Gavin and Beretta. Let's get back down to Brian.
Johnny O'Connell takes his record 5th victory at Mosport. Great job, Johnny. But to do it with Jan Magnuson, I know is special. How special would it have been to do it with Ron Fellows?
Well, you know, first off, hi to Kanan and Kelly. You know, we had some showing off to do today, and you know what? Ron and I had so many great victories here. Jan and I had a victory here together in prototype, so you know, I got to apply for dual citizenship or something, because, man, we have amazing luck here at Mosport, and, you know, we've had rotten luck, and, man, the guys on the 3-car, Dan Binks, the whole crew, man, they never give up, and so, you know, this one's really for them.
Well, we call Ron Fellows the mayor of Mosport. Maybe he has an assistant now. Congratulations.
Absolutely, and here you take a look at the points in the GT1 category. Still pretty strongly dominated by Gavin and Beretta, but a nice run for them. Now let's take a look at the GT2 results. Mello Salo, they get it with that big gift in the early going. Let's get down to Andrew with Jamie Mello.
That was a great run for you guys. You led from flag to flag.
Yeah, it's a great winner, and for us it's very good because we are in front of the championship, and we can be a little bit careful in the next 3 races. And I need just to say thank you for all the guys and Risi Competition. They did a great job, especially in the first pit stop, and that's it. So we are back on the championship leader, and I think we need to be concentrated for the next 3 races.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Just a great run by them. Their 6th GT2 win, and that has given them a lead now over Van Overbeek and Bergmeister in the 45 Porsche of 16 points, then Liddell and Hensler a bit further back. Now, again, we want to remind you, the Labor Day weekend, the cars and stars of the American Le Mans Series turned Detroit's Belle Isle Park into a gear-grinding, tire-shredding, all-or-nothing Motor City battlefield. That's this coming Saturday for Michigan, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Do not miss it. Now, coming up next, we're going to be joining Acura Project LMP, and then at 7 p.m., the Speed Report. Want to check in with that. Cal, obviously, Porsche Mo, Audi Spirit, and then Belle Isle coming up.
Well, the next one's going to be tough for Audi, but what a day. Physically, these drivers will be tired, but mentally, they'll be exhausted. This is one tough racetrack.
Tough track indeed, and Belle Isle is going to be fascinating. Do not miss it. Thanks for joining us here at Mosport. For Cal, for Brian, and for Andrew, I'm Greg Kramer. It has been a pleasure as always. Look forward to the coverage at Belle Isle. Make sure you tune in, and until then, take care, everybody.